Well, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and if you guys would like, it would be awesome if you would turn your cameras on so I can see you while we're going through today. And today I'm going to be sharing something with you that is kind of going to be low key. I didn't put it out there to the whole world necessarily. I just put it out there to a handful of you, and it's something I haven't taught the public well, as long as I can remember. This is something that I've been sharing with our coaching clients only. And I'm not going to go into every detail of how to do the listing appointment today, but I am going to talk about the listing appointment checklist. Oh, I got you. She's got video shut off. That's okay. We'll just leave it that way. That's not a big deal for now. Appreciate that, Doreen. I appreciate you sharing that with me. So anyway, that being said, and by the way, Camille, there's a slide that I sent you in Facebook Messenger. If you could get that prepared also, and if you could do me a favor, I want to see that 44-point listing appointment checklist here in just a second. But kind of to give you just a little quick background. First of all, this today is going to take us, we're going to probably spend about an hour together. We can go longer. I've got 2 hours blocked out of my schedule, so I'll stay on as long as people have questions. And as long as I feel like I can help you guys out and bring you value. But what we're going to be talking about is the 44-point listing appointment checklist. And this is a checklist. And what just happened there, Camille? All of a sudden you made your thing. Hold on a second. Camille, you there? Camille.
Morning, Michael. I'm here.
Good morning. Can you fix that? It's got a static image of me on the screen there. Can you fix that so it's my video there?
Yep.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. So anyway, long story short, guys, I've used this checklist on literally probably, if I had to put a guess on it, well, I know it's over 10,000 listing appointments, and I've refined it over time. And I don't want to trump it up too much. I don't want you guys to be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best thing ever. It's going to be the most amazing thing. Oh my gosh. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is awesome. And it really did make a difference in my business, but it's really simple. And that's the beauty of it. That's what really made it work so well, is that it's not complex. It's not complicated. It's very easy to use. And when you use it every single time and you get used to using it, then what will happen is you will start to refine it. And what I always did was I always carried, and I've only got 3 with me here. Well, there we go. We'll call this the 4th one. So I always carried with me 4 blue ink pens and 1 red ink pen. And what that allowed me to do, number one, it allowed me to not use any electronic gadgets on listing appointments. And I'm going to tell you why this is really important. If you are going to let's just say you're doing a $500,000 listing appointment. Let's just do some quick math here. Let's go 500 times 2.5%. That puts us at $12,500, right? So on a $500,000 house, I can make 12.5, which is what most agents will probably make, or I could make $25,000 on that same listing appointment. And my clients love me, right? Oh, hang on. Let's make sure you can see the whole thing. There we go. And frankly, that's how I did it. I was making this and not that. And by the way, I've got clients all over the country today that are making double what most of you are making on their listings. And the reason why is, number one, it's the simplicity of the entire system. Part of that system is at the very end, it's the menu we use. Now, if we have time today and you want to, we can go over the menu as well. But that's not the focus of today's webinar. Today's webinar is the 44-point checklist. And what happens is that 44-point checklist sets us up for success in the entire listing appointment. Now, the reason I use no electronic gadgets, toys, iPads, anything like that on a listing appointment is because if I've got an iPad and I'm going to get my signatures on iPad, or maybe I'm going to use that for my presentation or whatever, and then all of a sudden maybe the battery dies, the operating system crashes, they don't have internet, or whatever, like there's a million things, maybe I drop it on the way through the front door. There's a million things that can go wrong that would cost me $12,500 to $25,000. And here's why. Because if you don't get that listing on the first appointment, your chances of ever getting that listing plummet. I mean, they are absolutely dramatically reduced. And so we've got to get the listings on the first appointment. I'm not going to risk that on an electronic gadget not functioning properly, okay? So I use pen and paper on everything. I carry 4 blue ink pens. That's 1 pen for me, 1 for Mr. Seller, 1 for Mrs. Seller, and a spare in case we run out of ink. That also gives me the red ink pen is so that if I have a change that I need to make, let's say I'm on my appointment, they say something I'm not used to. They come up with an objection I haven't heard before, or I realize, hey, I should probably talk about this, or man, if I threw that story in, I could help, get this thing closed or whatever. And so I had this checklist, and I would just make a little red note with my red pen anytime I wanted to add something to my checklist, right? So in the middle of the appointment, when they came up with that, I just jot it down in red ink. I'd hand that off to my assistant when I got back to my office. She would then change all future checklists to have that item in it. And that's how the 44-point checklist was born. And I'll tell you, it helped me get my listing appointments down to just 37 minutes. And in 37 minutes, my expectation is that I'm going to list the house. I'm going to get it for the commission that I want, which generally speaking, listing side only, I'm taking at 5%. If I were still an agent today, I'm not. And that's why I can talk openly about commissions, because guess what? I'm not a real estate agent today. So I can't be violating the Sherman Antitrust Act because we're not competitors. And so that being said, I would take it for 12-month listing, automatic price reductions every 2 weeks, 5% commission to the listing office. And I would walk out of there in 37 minutes, key box on, to pictures taken, everything's done. Now, not pro photos, obviously. If we're going to do pro photos, that photographer comes back later. That said, let's dive right into the actual checklist itself. And here's what I want you to do with this today. I want you to look at the checklist. I want you to just see how I go through it. I'm going to go through it line by line. I'm going to show you everything I do on it. But what I want you to do is I want you to get a copy of the checklist, and I want you to make it yours. In other words, I don't want you to try and just use mine exactly as is. You can start that way, but you're going to want to go through, cross off things that don't apply in your market, or cross off things you don't want to talk about, and then add in the things you do. But I think that just going through this and seeing how I go through it with the seller on the listing appointment will be beneficial for you. Now, before we do that, before we get started, for those of you that don't know who I am, I think most of the people on the call know who I am. I think I'm recognizing most of the names. But that being said, for those of you that don't, my name is Michael Hellickson. I'm a real estate coach at Club Wealth. My claim to fame is that for a long time, for about 5.5 years, I was the #1 real estate agent on planet Earth. I was consistently closing 120 to 180 transactions every month at a time when #2 and #3 combined were doing about half that. And by the way, they're ballers, great guys. Mike Reese and Jay Kinder, super great guys, super high producers. They were crushing it. But that being said, and by the way, they're smarter than me. They're better looking than me. They're harder workers than I am. I should say they're better salespeople than I am, and all that. What was it that I was doing differently? The difference was that, and by the way, we all had great systems and great tools and great team members and all that kind of stuff. The big difference was I was just doing more of the boring stuff more consistently. That's really what it comes down to. And right now, there's so much noise in this industry right now. And I look around the industry and I see all these people selling you shiny object this and gadget that and AI solution this and that and the other. And I just think, God, you guys are missing the boat. Like, everybody's missing the boat. Like, I look at my son, Austin. Dude, this kid just yesterday recruited 6 people to his team. And I'm telling you, every single day, he's recruiting between 2 and 6 people to his team right now. He's national team, obviously. We can talk about that at the end if you guys want. But my point is simply, how is he doing that? Well, first of all, he became the #1 listing agent in the country by doing exactly what I'm going to teach you today. And then when he became the #1 listing agent in the country, refined all his systems, really got all that stuff dialed in. Then he says, okay, now it's time to build the #1 team in the country. And so he's willing to do the boring stuff every single day. That's what you guys got to be willing to do. You got to get on a perfect daily schedule. You got to get habits in place that you're going to do every single day, the stuff that nobody wants to do, but we all know works. And when you do those things consistently every single day, the success follows. It's actually really easy. It's not complicated. All right. So Camille, can you do me a favor? Can you share the 44-point listing appointment checklist screen? I want to start going through that, and I'm going to show you guys how to use this on your listing appointments. Okay. And Camille, if everybody wants to download that, do you have a way they can download that? Or can you put a copy of it in the chat? Is there a way to just put an image of it in the chat or something like that?
Yes, Michael, I can do that.
You're the best. Thank you, Camille. Okay, so you guys are looking at the checklist now. Now, this thing is very simple. Let me explain a couple of things. First of all, in the upper left-hand corner where it says, like, first, all that stuff at the very top, you're obviously going to delete that. That's not going to go on your checklist. Upper left-hand corner where it says note, bring 4 blue pens, bring 1 red pen, okay? That note is going to be gone as well, okay? The reason that's there now is just for your information. But when you go on listing appointments, that'll all be white space. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have your assistant, when your assistant's getting you ready for your appointments, they're going to take the checklist, they're going to run it, they're going to put the checklist into the printer, and they're going to hit print on a contact record of that person that you're going to see from your CRM. It's going to put their name, phone number, email address, all their contact information in the upper left-hand corner. Now, why do we do this? This is really important because when we get there, we have to make sure that we have accurate information in our CRM. I will tell you right now, it is not uncommon for people to go out, list a house, and then all of a sudden they get back and they realize, oh, I've got the wrong email address for this person, and it creates massive downstream problems. I want you to remember, everything we are doing with this checklist is designed, number one, to get the listing, and number two, to set great expectations, and number three, to avoid downstream problems, okay? And so a lot of the stuff that seems really simple and really unnecessary is absolutely necessary to avoid having massive problems down the road. And so keep it simple, guys. All right, now, upper right-hand corner where it says agent. Now, the reason that is because when you have a team, you don't know which agent's going to necessarily be going on that appointment, but once you do, you fill in the name of which agent's going to go on the appointment. Obviously, you fill in the appointment time and date, where that appointment came from. This is really important. We want this on the upper right-hand corner. For the number one reason is so that when the agent gets out there, the agent knows, okay, this was a referral from so-and-so, so that the first thing out of their mouth when they greet that person at the front door is, I'm so glad Susie referred you to us, right? That builds instant credibility, gives you just a little bit of rapport right off the bat, and greases the wheels for a successful appointment. Very, very important. All right, seller call time, seller call number. So this is, when does the seller want to get their weekly call, right? So now when I say weekly, I don't mean W-E-A-K-L-Y like some of you, you know who you are. I'm talking about weekly, every single week, every Monday, we're going to call every single seller that we have listed. And this is something that your licensed assistant should do, right? This is very important. This is reason number 362 why you need to have a licensed assistant, because they should be calling your sellers every week. They should be getting the price reductions every week from your sellers. I can tell you at Homexa, that's exactly what they do. By the way, I'm going to use Homexa as an example in a lot of this. Why? Because Austin, frankly, for those of you that don't know my son, his name's Austin. Austin listens. And that's why, but let me back up. Austin listens and he implements at a high level. And that's why he's number one in the country right now. And I'll tell you that he created Homexa and he implemented everything I'm telling you about right now into Homexa. Why would he do that? Because it works. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel and trying to find some new, latest, greatest, shiny, whatever. All right. So that being said, the agent's going to get out there. They're going to know that person's name right off the bat. I can see your cursor moving there, Camille, just FYI. All right. Now, the sellers, we want to be calling them every single week on Monday mornings. And that's good. Here's the thing. If they call you, you're late. Right? We don't want them to call us. We want to call them so that they're expecting the call. It's happening every single week. And the call looks something like this. The licensed administrative assistant calls the seller and says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as you'll remember, first of all, here's all the stuff we've done to market your home. As you'll remember, when Michael came out, he said that we need to be getting 7 to 10 showings a week. Otherwise, that's the market telling us we're overpriced. Unfortunately, this last week, we only had 2 showings and no offers. And so that, as you know, is the market telling us that we're overpriced. So what I'd like to know is, would you like to reduce the price by 5% now, or do you need a call with Michael first? Very straightforward, same call, every seller, every week. Now, I will tell you that right now, Austin at Homexa, his licensed assistants, they are getting 90% of the price reductions without the person having to do a call with the agent. That is a very big deal, you guys. And that's how we get homes sold, especially in a market like we have right now. Price reductions are key. And frankly, in any market, price reductions are key. And so how do we make sure we're getting those price reductions? By the way we set it up from the listing appointment. All right. Very important. All right. Now, AVSP, that is average sales price in the marketplace right there, right? So average sales price for homes that are that size, that neighborhood, whatever, that's approximately what that value would be. So essentially, this is something that the staff does. Again, we've got staff in the office whose job it is to just do the evaluations, whether they're doing CMAs for agents or BPOs for banks. At the end of the day, they're going to be our evaluations department. They're going to determine, what is this thing really going to sell for if it's an average condition in that market area. Now, that should give the agent everything they need. You don't need a big CMA. You don't need a cloud CMA. You don't need RPR. You don't need all that garbage. Okay? You just don't need that stuff. You need to know what the average sales price for that square footage in that part of the town is in average condition. That's it. And from there, you adjust. If you walk in and it's a pigsty, if it's a dump, then, if it's, needs updating or whatever, you can adjust from there and you can figure out, well, to get it back to average, I'm going to have to do this. If it's brand new, looking awesome, well, great. Then you can adjust from there. Here's the other thing. You guys are pricing things wrong. You're putting way too much emphasis on, I've got to get a really accurate price. No, you don't. You have to get the right price that will sell. Okay. None of this $399, $950 garbage. Okay. That's a complete waste of time. Instead, what you need to be doing, first and foremost, we call it bracketing, right? Essentially, what you need to do is if you think the price is $399, $950, price it at $400, because that way you're going to get the stuff that's at $350 to $400. The people that are searching for that in the computer will see it, and the people that are searching for $400 to $450 will see it. So you'll be the nicest house in the lower price point and the most affordable house in the upper price point. This is very, very important with every single listing. It gives you twice the exposure without having to change, without a loss in price or anything like that. So the way we price it is very important. We always want to hit the big numbers, ideally the hundreds or the 50s. And if we can't get to 100 or a 50, then we get to a 25. But at the end of the day, we want to be on those big numbers that people are likely to search for. It really does make a big difference. All right. Now, as we look at the right-hand side here, we actually start on the right and then we jump to the left. And why do we start on the right? I want to get the hard questions out of the way first. Okay. So I'm not going to walk you through again the entire listing appointment. We know that, if you've heard me teach this before or heard me teach the listing appointment before, we know the greeting at the front door, very important. We know that we're going to preview the home right then and there. We're going to go look through the entire house, take the photos, all that good stuff. We're going to end up at the kitchen table. Okay. Never on anything soft or comfortable. We want to end up at the kitchen table. Now, if they don't have a kitchen table, do it at the kitchen counter while standing. If they don't have a counter, then do it on the hood of your car, but never, ever, ever sit on something soft or comfortable. All right. This is very important. It makes a big difference for you getting the listing. Also, we need a place where we can write on our documents. We need to be able to sign our documents. Okay. All right. Now, the first thing I'm going to circle, if you look on the right-hand side, it says short, not short. Now, I can't determine that yet because I haven't asked the questions yet. Okay. Just leave it right like that, Camille. All right, so it says short, not short. But what I can circle is this owner, tenant, or vacant, right? So owner occupied, tenant occupied, or vacant. Okay, now if it's tenant occupied, I would circle tenant, and then where it says tenant, I would put the name of the tenant and the phone number of the tenant, okay? If it's not owner occupied. So I've got a space for that. That's very important. All right, now I'm going to go down below this, okay? Before I check bankruptcy and attorney, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at lien holder. And the first question I'm going to ask him, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have it like my Coke bottle glasses on, right? I want to be like Mr. Analytical. I don't even look him in the eye at this point in the conversation, okay? The first thing I do is I simply say, okay, so who's the first mortgage company? Okay, and who's the second mortgage company? Fantastic. How far behind is the first? Oh, you're not behind, you're current. Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, I only ask because, a lot of people are behind on their mortgage nowadays, and it's important for us to know that as we go through this process, but because it has an impact on how we're able to sell your house. And so that said, are you behind on any mortgage on the house? You're not? Okay, fantastic. So then I can write all that down. Now, if they are behind, let's say they say, well, we're behind 2 months. Okay, fantastic. And the second mortgage is so-and-so. And how far behind are you on that? You're not? Okay, great. And do you have an auction date set yet? You don't. Or when is the auction date? Okay, there is no auction date. Fantastic. That question is really important. Ideally, you'll ask, when is the auction date instead of, is there an auction date? Because a lot of times they'll lie to you. Anytime you ask a yes or no question, you're opening up the door for them to lie to you. That's why, for example, with buyers, we don't say, do you have an agent? Because everybody's going to tell you, well, no, yeah, I have an agent. Whereas instead, if you say, who's your agent? They'll fumble and they won't have an agent. Now you can get a buyer agency and go and sign for you. All right, so that being said, I want to know if there's an auction date. Now, this is important. I don't care how soon the auction date is. A lot of times we can postpone these things, but I need to know what I'm dealing with. And I'll tell you right now, we're seeing more short sales than we have in probably a decade, actually more than a decade. We're seeing more short sales right now than we've seen in the last 15 years. And so it's definitely questions you need to be asking. Now, if it is short, then I'll circle short up above there. If it's not short, then I'll circle not short. Now, if they're short, if they're behind, and whether they are or not, I'm going to say, now, are you guys in the middle of a bankruptcy? No? Fantastic. Okay, you are. Great. And who's your bankruptcy attorney? All right, fantastic. And that's it. That's all I got to do. Now, as we scroll down the page just a little bit, Camille, so I can see a little bit further down. Hang on really quick. Let's get, there you go, right there. Just leave it right there. That's perfect. Okay, so you guys will see where it says short sales only, okay? That section in the middle section of your screen where it says short sales only. I'm going to ask them if they're a short seller, if they're behind it all. I'm going to ask them, okay, so are you, let's go over your options. Here's the things that can happen. You can do a loan mod, deed in lieu of foreclosure. You can do a foreclosure. You could do a short sale. Here's the advantages and disadvantages of each, okay? And I want them to know all of their options at this point. This is really important. Why? Because it may not be selling it is the best option. Maybe they're doing a loan mod. Maybe that's going well. Maybe it's looking like they're going to get that loan mod. That's okay, right? Look, I don't have a problem with them not listing their home with me. I have a problem with them listing their home with somebody else. Okay. So what I want in this moment is just what's best for them. And I don't have a preconceived notion of what that is until I find out what's going on. All right. So I'm going to explain all the different options. I'm going to find out which ones they've explored, which ones they've worked on, which direction they're leaning toward. And I'm going to give them my opinion on what I think they should do at that point. Okay. And oftentimes, more often than not, if they're having trouble making the payment and if it's a long-term hardship, and this is important, long-term hardship matters a lot. Banks won't even do a short sale if it's a short-term hardship, right? Like if like let's say they're in a government, they're a government employee, and because of the government shutdown, they weren't able to make their mortgage payment. Okay, not a big deal, right? That's a short-term hardship. We know the government's going to get turned back on at some point. You'll get your paycheck at some point. That's not a long-term hardship. Now, if it's I lost my job and I'm having trouble finding a new one, then that's a long-term hardship. Or we got a divorce and we can't make, neither of us can make the payment, blah, 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 those types of things. Banks want to see a long-term hardship if they're going to do a short sale. All right, now, I explained to them timelines. Hey, look, it's going to take us a minimum of 4 to 10 weeks to find a buyer. And then it could take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to get approval from the bank, your underlying lien holders, to do a short sale. Now, very likely the first buyer is going to fall through, which means we're going to have to go through that whole process again. Now, that's not the end of the world. Understand that if we have to go through that whole process again, it just buys you time. More often than not, they won't foreclose as long as we have an offer on the table that's being negotiated. Now, that's not always the case, but very likely you'll be able to stay in here for a long period of time. Now, keep in mind, banks don't do short sales, generally speaking, on homes where they're current on the mortgage. So what you want to be careful of is if you're struggling to pay the mortgage and you're not going to be able to keep it up and you're going to be letting this house go, you're better off not making that payment right now. If you've already stopped making payments. I'm not telling them to stop making their payments, by the way. If they've already stopped making their payments, then don't make an extra payment, because if you start making payments, it'll pop that thing out of the short sale process and it'll pop them back into loan mod, which is a different process. And if that's not their long-term goal, that was a mistake to do that, right? So we want to make sure that we're explaining this thoroughly to the clients, okay? All right, now, I want them also to know that during the time you're here, it's very possible. I've seen people live in their homes for 1, 2, 3, as many as 7 years without making payment. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's necessarily going to happen for you, but it's not uncommon that someone's here for greater than a year without making a payment as we go through this process. So that could help you potentially. But understand that there is a credit hit when you do a short sale. It's not as bad as a foreclosure, obviously, but there is certainly a credit hit. So I want to have all of that conversation with them on each appointment, okay, if they're a short sale. All right, now, I let them know that I've got my physical short sale packet with me. I want to make sure that I explain to them how to fill that packet out, and that it's important that they get it filled out and back to me within 24 hours. If they don't get it back to me within 24 hours, it's possible we may not be able to get a short sale done for them, and they may end up in foreclosure. This is very, very, very important. Be very clear with people, okay? We're not there to wipe their nose. We're there to be very pragmatic. We're there to be very professional and to explain to them what their options are and how they can best navigate this situation, okay? All right, now, then I'm going to have my staff following up with them the next day to get that packet from them. And if we have to send a runner out to get it, or if whatever we got to do, we're going to get that packet from them that next day at the very latest. Now, I don't stay while they do it because it's kind of a big packet. There's a lot of information that's needed in order to do these. And I don't want to stick around for 2 hours while they fill out this freaking packet. Okay. It doesn't take quite that long, but it's longer than I want to be there. All right. Now, dates on the hardship letter. This is a very big deal. Okay. It's important that as part of the packet, they provide what's called a hardship letter, which is the letter that explains what happened. Why are we having trouble making our payment? Okay. So once they've got that, it needs to be dated. And we see this all the time, that people forget to put a date on their hardship letter. And guess what happens? Short sale denied. And sometimes that doesn't get caught until months later. Okay. So it's very important that that hardship letter have a date on it from day one. All right, sign a date, a letter of authorization. This is very important. Now, this is something I have them do while I'm there, okay? So I literally, and by the way, I have them put the date on the hardship letter while I'm there as well. But then what I do is the letter of authorization, I have them fill that out, and I take it with me when I leave. Why? This is the letter that authorizes my team to talk with their lender on their behalf. It's very important. If you're going to do a short sale, you're going to have a letter of authorization signed. All right, BPO agent to take pictures. So this means that the bank at some point is going to send another agent out to take pictures of your home. They may want to come inside and take pictures of the inside as well. It's important that you let them do this. Now, when that agent comes back, it is not our goal to make the house look as good as possible. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's our goal to make the house look as bad as possible. We want the bank to know, hey, you do not want to take this thing back. You want to get a short sale done, right? It is not a good idea for you to take this thing back in foreclosure. All right, great. So we make sure they understand that. And then finally, get back to us same day on requests for missing documents and or offers. I say this over and over and over again. It's very, very important that we're very, very clear with them about the need to get back to us right away. Otherwise, it's very, very common that they will wait forever to get back to us, or they won't get back to us until, for 3-4 days, and we lose opportunities on offers and so forth. Or the bank is asking us for information and these guys are slow to get information back. That's not good. We want to make sure that they're getting back to us all the time, very quickly, like immediately, same day. All right. Now, at this point, we've covered all the short sale stuff. Now we go over to the upper left-hand corner there where it says phone to show. Okay. And Camille, could you zoom in just a little bit? So the big rectangle there is taking up most of the screen there. There you go. Scroll that up just a little bit for us right there. That's perfect. Okay. So phone to show, upper left-hand corner. All right, so I want to know what's the phone number to show, and I'm going to make sure I grab that number and I'm going to write it down so that we have that for the MLS. It's very important. Cell numbers, I want to make sure I'm double checking above where, in that white space in the upper left-hand corner where we have now printed their contact information directly from our CRM. I'm going to verify that those are their correct cell phone numbers. Now, I'll tell you, especially whether this is retail or short sale, doesn't matter, but I will tell you this, especially when it's a short sale, oftentimes people's cell phone numbers are changing because they couldn't pay their provider. Now they've got a prepaid cell or whatever. I'm telling you, you guys always need to be rechecking and checking their cell phone numbers and email addresses. All right, I'm also going to find out what's his birthday, what's her birthday. Why? Because I want to say happy birthday to him every year, right? And so this is part of my client appreciation program. I don't care if they're retail, short sale, doesn't matter. I want to treat everybody exactly the same, with the same respect, same love. And I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting birthdays and anniversaries. There you can see the spot for the anniversary next. All right. Email, we just talked about. Key box. So I'm going to check that box. I'm going to explain to them, okay, so when the property is listed, there's going to be a key box on the property. This is the key box. Now, this is an electronic key box. It's going to record who was here, when they were here, how long they were here. I can shut it on and off at certain times of day or night. There's all kinds of functionality that it has, but most importantly, it ensures that you're safe and your possessions are safe. If anything should happen, if anything should turn up missing or whatever, just reach out to me. By the way, it never happens. I've never had that happen. But should, heaven forbid, something happen, you let me know, the second you notice that, and I'll be able to go back in and I'll be able to know who was here, when they were here, and how long they were here. So everything's completely safe. All right, then we move to agent showings, and I explained to them, hey, look, agents are going to call you before they show it, okay? We're going to ask, in the MLS, we're going to put instructions that we want them to call before they show it. That being said, sometimes agents are not very polite. Sometimes agents forget. Sometimes they misread it or stuff happens, whatever. They happen to be in the neighborhood. They got a buyer with them right now, and they're ready to go. They're hot to trot. Ideally, we want to make it as convenient as possible for everyone to show the home. Now, as I say that, what I do not want you to do, if somebody knocks on the door and says they're an agent and wants to show your home, even if they have a business card, remember, anybody can get a business card printed at Kinko or, FedEx or, Vistaprint or whatever. I said, just because they have a business card doesn't mean that they're a legitimate real estate agent. So here's what I want you to do. Do not ever let anybody into your house unless they can open this key box right here. Now, if they can open that key box, great, then you can let them show your house. Okay. But if they can't open the key box, you do not let them in. All right. Very, very important. Now, if a buyer knocks on the door and they do not have an agent with them, do not under any circumstances let them in. You get their name and phone number, you call me immediately and you give me their name and phone number, and I will make arrangements to get them in once I've verified that they're legit and they're not a predator or some axe murderer or something like that. Okay. So this is for your own safety as well as the safety of your home. All right. Now, very important that we make sure that we're careful about everything we do when it comes to letting people in your house. The other thing is, I don't want you to be here when it's shown. Okay. This is really, really important. You need to be gone when it's shown, because here's the thing. Even if you think you're telling them, all the things that you should be telling them about the house, and if you think you're doing a great job of helping them get excited about the house and all that, you could make a mistake that could get you into a lot of trouble. I'll give you an example of one that happened in years past. So I had a seller that said, hey, the buyer knocked on the door. Seller just was trying to be friendly and wanted to help me sell their house. And so they let him in, they showed him around, and then they're telling him about the yard and, hey, the property line's over here. And, look at this tree that I planted when I was a kid. Now it's a big tall tree and blah, 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 blah. And then they get done and we do a transaction and we actually end up selling that person a house. Pretty cool, right? Well, a few months later, I get a call from an attorney. Hey, by the way, your seller misrepresented the property line. See, my seller thought the property line was here, but it was actually 2 feet closer to the seller's house than they had thought it was. And so they misrepresented the property line. That's a big deal, right? So it's very important. And this resulted in a lawsuit, and it was a big problem, right? But here's the deal. End of the day, just be gone when it's shown. Okay. There's no need for you to ever be here when a showing happens. Also, furthermore, if a buyer shows up at your garage sale, then you have somebody else sell them the stuff. Don't you get involved in even having a conversation with the buyer until after closing. And I'll tell you why. I have literally seen transactions fall apart over a lawnmower. It's not worth it. Okay. So make sure you're gone when it's shown. All right. Then I'm going to introduce my staff. This is a very, very important part of this process. Why? Because I don't want them calling me all the time. I want them to call my staff. Right. And frankly, the way I explain to them, I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's the reality. Reality is I'm out on appointments like this one all day long, every day. And if you want to get an update, I'm not in the office. I'm not going to be able to give you an update right away. But when you contact my staff, they will be able to give you an update every day. So here's my staff, and I have a form, it's got pictures and bios, of all my staff members on it. It tells everybody what they do. I've got a flow chart that shows, which part of the process, which staff members are going to be taken care of and all that. Makes it really, really easy for people to know who they're going to be talking to at any point in time. Every single interaction they have with my team, every time they talk to somebody on my team, that person is telling them, here's what to expect next. Okay, guys, I'm telling you, when you set proper expectations and when you show them the pathway, people are a lot more at ease. They get freaked out when they don't know what's going on. Okay. And so I want to make sure I introduce my staff, and I tell them, I say, look, when you reach out to my staff, they're going to get the answer right freaking now. They'll be able to help you out immediately. Whereas if you contact me, I'm going to have to contact my staff, and then, I'll three-way you or whatever, but then we'll have to together find out what's going on. But the reality is, if you contact my staff directly, you'll get your answers faster and you'll get more accurate information than what I can give you. Then I also tell them email is the best way to contact my staff. Now, why am I doing this? Because I want to avoid incoming phone calls as much as possible. Okay. And by the way, nowadays, it's really easy to get people to say, oh yeah, well, I just as soon just email them anyway, because people don't want to talk to us any more than we want to talk to them. Right. And so this allows my team to be a lot more efficient with their time. They can follow their perfect daily schedule, which everybody on my staff has. And what this does now is it ensures that my staff can take care of each of these things at the time they've allotted in their schedule rather than having to take time away from what they're currently doing to go deal with this. And then it takes 11 minutes to get back on task. So make sure that they understand emailing is the best way to contact my staff. Then they can get you an email response same day. And I promise you, as long as you email us before 4:30, you will get a response same day, Monday through Friday. All right, and then I explained to them it can take up to 2 weeks to get the sign in the ground. We don't put the signs on the ground ourselves. We have a third-party company that does this, so we have to order the sign, then they bring the sign out, all that good stuff. So don't worry about it if it takes a little extra time. It's not the end of the world, but just know there will be a sign out in front of your house. Now, we also have a flyer box on each of our sign posts, and in that flyer box will be black and white flyers. We've researched this a bunch of different ways, and we found out we get the best ROI on black and white flyers. Now, the last few flyers are going to be printed on red paper. About the last 15 flyers are going to be printed on red paper. So if you get home and you see that red paper in your flyer box, because it's got a clear front thing on it, right? And by the way, for those of you that have flyer boxes that have the spot where you can put a flyer in the front and then all the rest are kind of in the back, but the one is stationary in the front, don't do that, because then the sellers won't see that, oh my gosh, we're down to the red flyers. But then what I do is I leave them with a stack of extra flyers, and I tell them, don't put these out until you get down to red. But once you get down to red, then I want you to put these in the flyer box and immediately email my office and let them know that you're running low on flyers. We will then mail you new flyers. That way I don't have to rush out there or send a team member rushing out there to go refill flyer boxes. Guys, at one point in time, I had 750 listings in active and pending status. Can you imagine what a nightmare that would be if every day I'm getting calls, oh my gosh, I'm out of flyers. It's an emergency. I need you to rush somebody out. Heck no, man, that would have cost me money. Now, can you imagine how much that would cost just in runners and headache? It's much better to do it this way. It saves you a ton of time, effort, and energy, and they never run out of flyers. Okay. Now, I also take the time at this point to let them know one thing that's not going to be on the flyer is the price. And let me tell you why, because that's the thing people want the most. And what I want to do is I want to encourage them to reach out to us. And so we deliberately leave the price off your flyer, which increases the number of sign calls we get. Sign calls lead to buyers. Buyers lead to your house getting sold. Okay. So it's very important we do not put the price on your flyer. All right. Then in my markets where I was in the Northwest. So we dealt with something called LP siding. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's this siding called Louisiana Pacific siding. And I've learned to recognize what that looks like when I go out to these houses, right? And so if you notice there's LP siding gate, I have the conversation, it's bad. Now, for the most part, nowadays, you're not going to encounter this very much. The vast majority of these houses, the siding's been taken care of and it's not an issue. But if you happen to encounter one, you want to let them know that it's basically like a sponge on the outside of your house. Basically, it just absorbs water, it delaminates, and eventually it rots out. Now you got rot and mold all throughout the house. It's a big deal. So we got to get that LP siding replaced. Now, this is a great spot for you guys to put down, like if you have termites in your market, or if you have, other things that are kind of market specific to your area that are house related problems that you need to be aware of and the seller needs to be aware of. This is a good place to put that in your checklist. All right. Now, septic, I want to make sure I circle whether or not they're on septic. This is important. Why? Because my staff needs to know, do we need to go get a septic certification? Do we need to get it pumped? All of this is very important. Same thing with well. Are we going to need a well cert? So we need to make sure that we're circling whether or not it's on septic and well, so the staff knows what they need to do. Again, guys, when you have the right staff, and this is where I got to tell, I'm going to throw kudos out to Austin. I'm proud of him for doing exactly what I've told him to do. And dude, he's done so much better than I have. He's taken it way further than I have. And he's implemented all of this in his systems with Home Access. So all his agents have to do is go on appointments, get the listing signed, bring it back and hand it off, and they're done. And they go on the next appointment. Guys, that's what I want your business to look like. And if you don't have a team built out like that, you either need to build your team out like that, or consider joining a company like Home Exit, right? Like, make it easy for yourself. But at the end of the day, if what you need to remember, right? There's three things that move the needle in this business, okay? Let me write these down. You guys look up here really quick. You've got lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion. Now, here's the deal. In the beginning, when you're new in the business, you're going to be doing lead generation, lead follow-up. That's going to be most of your day. It's going to be those two things. Then you're going to try and get as much of this happening as possible. You're going to try and do as much conversion as possible. But you begin with, I got to generate leads. Until I got leads generated, I got nobody to follow up with. And until I got people to follow up with, I got no appointments, right? So it happens in this order. Well, here's the other thing that happens. As your business matures and or as you join a team like a Home Exit or some other team that has these systems in place, you should be spending less time on lead generation, more time on lead follow-up. And then eventually, like with the way Home X has got set up, you don't do any lead gen and lead follow-up. I mean, you can and you should, because you can add to what you're getting there, but they're doing lead generation, lead follow-up for you. Now all you got to do is lead conversion. And what pays the most out of all these things? It's the lead conversion that pays the most, right? And so your job at first is learn to do these three things. And then it's, how do I transition to where I can pay somebody else to do these two? And all I do is lead convert. I go on appointments and I get them to sign on the dotted line every day. All right, now let's get back to the checklist. Down at the bottom left of that left-hand box there, you'll see open houses and brokers opens. All right, watch this. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to be very honest with you. We don't do a lot of open houses, and let me tell you why. The reason why is it just gives people a chance to case your house and figure out what they're going to steal when they come back later. Okay. Now that being said, agents, you guys know that I'm a huge advocate of if you need to get some transactions happening right now. Open houses are a great way to get transactions happening, but you got to let the sellers know that the reality is that open houses help me get clients, but they don't necessarily help you get your house sold. Okay. And so the reason we do this is when you start listing at scale, guys, you're not going to be able to hold everything open. You're not going to have time. So the last thing you should do is be committing to sellers that you're going to hold their house open. Because here's the thing. What if it's not the right house? What if it's not in the right area? What if it's an entry-level house that's in the boonies and it's away from everything and you're not going to get any traffic there? What a waste of time. Why would I hold that house open? There's other ways to sell it. Namely, price is the number one thing we do to get a house sold, right? Get it priced right, put it in the MLS, and then be responsive when people reach out. I mean, that's the best thing you can do. That's the number one thing, right? That being said, brokers opens, I also explained to them, I say, a lot of agents talk about brokers opens, and really all a brokers open is a chance for broke agents to go get a free lunch and make a mess out of your house. That's why we don't do brokers opens, right? They don't really help you at all. They certainly don't help me, and I could be spending my time doing more effective things to get your house sold. Does that make sense? Fantastic, right? You get your head nodding and they nod their head. Okay. Now, vacation out of town. If you're going to go on vacation, you're going to go out of town for any length of time whatsoever, it's imperative that you let my team know ahead of time, okay? All you got to do is just shoot an email to my team, to clientcare@hellickson.com or whatever your thing is. But I have them shoot it to my main email address, to my main staff. And then we know now that they're out of town. And it's very important, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that you make sure that I have a way to get a hold of you when you're out of town, because just because you're out of town doesn't mean we're not going to get offers while you're gone, or doesn't mean that, we're not going to need information or whatever. So very important that you have that conversation with them. Also, offers on weekends. Let's go to the middle column, top of the middle column. Okay, this is a big one. How many of you, watch this, if you would like to take all of your evenings and weekends off, or let's just even start with weekends. If you would like to never have to work a weekend again, I want you to type no weekends in the chat right now. I want to see how many of you want me to teach you what this is all about, how we make sure that we do not have to work weekends. So far, Doreen's the only one that doesn't want to work weekends. Everybody else on the call wants to work weekends. Are you kidding me? You're killing me, guys. Oh, I got a couple more. Jolene Martins, of course you don't want to work weekends. Good for you. Jorge, good. Ollie, Alicia, okay, good. All right, Sonia, good. All right, and this just tells me you guys are actually awake and paying attention, so I'm really glad to see that too. For a minute there, I was wondering if I was just talking to myself. I'm kidding. All right, so here's the deal. Here's how we make it so we don't have to work weekends. It's super simple. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's part of our strategy is we want to make sure that we get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to you. One of the strategies that we use to accomplish that is our offers on weekend strategies. And it's actually just the opposite of what it sounds like. We actually do not accept offers on weekends. In fact, we tell people, so we're going to put this on the market on a Thursday, and we let people know that we will be reviewing all offers on Monday morning. And what that does is if somebody's serious about your house, they'll wait till Monday to get a response to their offer. But what it does is it allows us to get multiple offers over the weekend. And when we get multiple offers, I can work those offers against each other, get the price up, Get you as much as I can in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of headache to you. Won't that be great? Fantastic. So we're going to make sure we don't accept any offers on the weekends. And so you'll be hearing from my staff every Monday morning, and they'll let you know if and how we got offers, how many we got. They'll walk you through the offers, and they'll let you know which ones they think are the best ones to respond to and negotiate with. And then again, my licensed administrative staff members do all of that. And they're better at negotiating than I am, because guess what they do every day? That's what they do, right? And when you're operating at scale, they can get really, really, really good at just that one thing. And here's the great thing for you guys. By doing this, you don't have to work on the weekends anymore, because now in your MLS, you're going to make it very clear to people that your team will respond on Monday to all offers. Don't even try and get a hold of me on the weekend. We don't work weekends. And I love it when agents want to freak out and they're like, oh, but Michael, we're in the real estate business. We should be available 24/7, 365. Well, you're a freaking moron, okay? That's not true, first of all. Second of all, like, be a professional. Is your attorney available at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon? Come on, guys. Like, let's raise the professionalism in this industry, and let's respect one another enough to recognize that all of us need to unstring the bow once in a while. All of us need a little time off once in a while to sharpen the saw, if you know what I mean, all right? So then we also talk about all offers need to go through my team. This is very important, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. There once in a while will be an unethical agent that will try and present an offer directly to you. They might reach out to you and say they can't get a hold of me or whatever, and they want to talk to you on a Saturday or Sunday to try and present an offer. It's very important that you tell them absolutely not. Follow the instructions in the MLS. Reach out to my agent, and they will present the offers to me on Monday. Thank you very much for your time. Click, hang up the phone, okay? This is very, very important. All offers must go through my team. Remember, my job is to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to you. The other agent's job is to get that house for that agent for as cheap as, or for that client for as cheap as they possibly can. And their job is to screw you. And that's not what we want to have happen now, is it? No. Okay. So we're going to make sure all offers go through my team, right? Fantastic. Okay, good. And I drill deep on that because, guys, I'll tell you, it's really, especially if you've got a really nice seller, sometimes they're a little naive, and sometimes they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. They don't want to offend somebody. They don't want to scare off a buyer. And so they will allow some agent to talk to them about an offer, which you and I both know is completely inappropriate. But we need to have that conversation with them. All right. Now, and I tell them, I say, don't even talk to the other agents. When they come out to show the house, leave the house. I don't ever want you talking to the other agent, because everything you say can and will be held against you. Okay. They will do everything they can to take everything you tell them and use it to their client's advantage, not yours. Okay. So only talk to my team. That's it. All right. Now, it's important that you call me before a concern becomes a crisis. You're going to have concerns. You're going to freak out. There's going to be days that you're stressed out and you're anxious and think, you're feeling like the world is coming to an end. Dude, call me when it's a concern, not when it's a crisis, right? Don't call me when it's like a little molehill, not a mountain, right? Because I can't fix something I don't even know about. And I will promise you this, we will be responsive to your needs. We care about you. We will do everything we can to help you, no matter how big or how small the issue. We will do everything within our power to make sure that you are taken care of. Is that okay? Okay, great. All right. Now, included items, window treatments, etc. I want to make sure that I'm covering with them what's included in the sale, what's not included in the sale. Is that rhododendron in the front yard going to be included in the sale? And how about the built-in appliances versus the appliances that are not built in? The washer, dryer, refrigerator, are those included in your market or not? Right? It's very important, based on your market, based on the purchase and sale agreements that you're likely to see, that you're very clear with people what's included and what's not included. All right. Now, also, we want to make sure we never try and sell personal items to the buyer. The only time I would say there's an exception to this is if you're selling a short-term rental property or a high-end luxury property that's going to come furnished, okay, or that has the option of coming furnished. You don't do this on a $400,000 house, okay? And so it's really important. Don't try and sell personal items to the buyer. A lot of times transactions fall apart over that. Leased fixtures, okay? Are there leased fixtures, a leased hot water tank, leased solar system, any of that kind of stuff? It's very important that if we have leased fixtures that we address them. Whether or not we pay them off may be market dependent where you're at. But at the end of the day, we need to talk to them about how are leased fixtures handled and how does that affect the transaction. All right, referrals, this is important. Now, I have a document, okay? This is when I pull out my document and there's 3 questions on it. So it says, and I want them to fill this out right there in front of me, okay? So it says, please describe, as if you're speaking to a buyer, the things you're going to miss most about the home. Please describe the things that you want us to advertise and the things you do not want us to advertise, okay? So those are the 3 main questions. So first it goes, actually in order, it's describe the things you want us to advertise about your home, then the things you do not want us to advertise about your home. And I'll tell you, I had a gal that had a swimming pool one time, and she did not want me to advertise the swimming pool. In fact, I didn't know this. This is how this question came up, or how this form came up, because she got mad and she was going to cancel her listing because I had marketed it as having a swimming pool. She thought that was a huge detraction from the listing because in Washington State, not a lot of people have swimming pools, and she thought that advertising that had a swimming pool would limit the number of buyers because some people are worried that they might have a kid drown in there or something like that. So she got pretty upset that I marketed that. Never once had she told me that she didn't want it advertised. So from that moment forward, we added that question. So it's describe the things you want advertised, the things you do not want advertised, and then describe as if you're speaking to a buyer, the things you're going to miss most about the home. A few words about the neighbors, the neighborhood, the restaurants in town, the things that you're going to miss most, right? Then at the bottom of that form, there are 6 lines, just blank lines at the bottom of that form. And this is where I explain to them the reticular activator, okay? So this is where I explain to them the importance of sending us referrals, okay? So I'll tell them, I say, hey, look, Mr. and Mr. Seller, let me ask you this. When you had your kids, when you were pregnant with your kids, did you notice other pregnant people out there? You did, yeah. It's kind of like when you buy a car that's new to you, all of a sudden it seems like everybody else is driving that same car, right? Well, that's something called your reticular activator. It's actually a little spot in the back of your brain right here. And what it does is it helps you identify people that are in similar situations that you are, right? It's great. It finds congruent situations and it highlights those for you. Well, we can actually put that reticular activator to work for you in getting your home sold. Would you like to know how to do that? Fantastic. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. What I want you to write down the 6 names of the first 6 people that come to your mind that you think might be considering buying or selling a home in the next 6 months. Okay, just the first 6 people that come to your mind that you think, gosh, that person might be considering selling or buying a home in the next 6 months. Write those names down now. And I'm telling you guys, you'd be surprised how often people will sit down and they'll write those names down. And then you say, okay, now put their phone number next to it, because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be reaching out to them and I'm going to let them know that we're putting your home on the market. And I'm going to explain this reticular activator system to them as well. And what's going to happen is I'm going to get them to do the same thing. And you'd be surprised how actually often it happens that one of your friends or one of the people they know or one of the people they know ends up being interested in your house. And not only that, I'm not only doing this with you, but I do it with all of my clients. And by doing it with all of my clients, I create a lot more activity. And oftentimes one of those people ends up being the person that buys your home. So go ahead and write those names down now. They write them down. Guys, I'll tell you this. I literally get, on average, I get 0.75 referrals per listing appointment. Now, I want you to think about that for a second here. 0.75 referrals per listing appointment. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, 0.75, that's not that much. If you go on 10 listing appointments in a week, that's 7.5 referrals a week. That's awesome. That's really good, you guys. So you need to be asking these questions. You need to be following this system every single time. And I promise you'll start getting more referrals. I was doing about 200 transactions a year by referral. And that was only 12.2% of my business, but it was still 200 transactions a year. That was great, right? Okay, so that said, let's go to no updates, one time every 2 weeks. Now, why do I say this? So I want to let them know, hey, look, we're not going to be giving you updates on all the time. We're going to make sure that we call you at least once every 2 weeks. We'll give you an update on exactly what's going on, but it doesn't make sense for me to call you all day, every single day with the exact same update, does it? And so, just be prepared that we're going to be calling you once every 2 weeks. Now, in reality, folks, I'm actually calling them every single Monday. Why do I tell them once every 2 weeks? Because I want to under promise and over deliver. This gives me the opportunity to over deliver. They're not going to get mad when I call them once every week. However, if I said I was calling every week and I miss a week, they're going to be furious. Okay. So I'd rather tell them once every 2 weeks and then actually call them every week. Okay. Very important. All right, then I have a website that I've set up that has updates on their property, so they can log in and they can see all the updates on the back end, and that way they can check, day or night. Now the reality is, do they? No, most of them don't. But it's nice to have it there in case they would like to. It gives them one more way that they can connect and feel like they're in control. All right, next, HOA utilities must continue to get paid. Even if they're in a short sale, it's imperative that they pay the HOA and the utilities. HOAs and utility companies are two organizations that kill short sales all the time, because they HOAs. Sometimes we can get the HOAs to negotiate. We can get rid of those, but not always. Sometimes you've got some idiot at the HOA, and the real problem is not even whether or not they'll do it. The real problem is getting a hold of them, because so many of them so often are just difficult to get a hold of. And here we are trying to get this transaction closed, and we find out at the last minute that there's a $3,000 HOA assessment, or it's $3,000 HOA past due bill, and we can't get a hold of the person we need to, and now all of a sudden our deal falls apart. Utility companies are also notoriously difficult on this. All right. That said, make sure they pay them. Second mortgage, try and keep that one current as well. Okay, very important. We don't want that. It's tragic when a second mortgage forecloses on a house, right? That's crazy. Hate it when that happens. So we want to make sure that we're having that conversation. Even if they're not a short sale, we need to make sure that they're paying the HOAs and the mortgages, or I should say the second mortgage. All right, dogs, cats, and pets. This is where I want to make sure they know, hey, let's make sure that we keep Cujo, put away during showings. Ideally, we don't even want the dogs or cats or pets in the house. In fact, if we can make sure that there's no sign of dogs, cats, or any other pets in the house whatsoever, some people don't like buying houses where there have been any pets whatsoever. And so ideally, we want to get rid of all the litter boxes and any sign of there having ever been a pet here, ideally. Now, this is hard for some people. Some people, they care more about their pets than they do their kids. And so this is a conversation, though, that you need to have, and just be very pragmatic about it. All right, now, we're going to walk them through. You can see gold, silver, bronze on the right-hand side there. I used to do gold, silver, bronze. Now we do basic, standard, premium. And so this was our original checklist, where, I shouldn't say original, but this is the one where I used to do it that way. I now would recommend you do basic, standard, premium. You guys have seen me do the menu-driven selling system. If you have not seen that, make sure you jump on a webinar with me or get into coaching with us, and we'll teach you how to do that. Or at our live events, I teach that at our live events as well. Let's go ahead and scroll down, Camille. Okay, so we're going to scroll down at the bottom here, and right there. That's perfect right there. All right, so now this stuff down here underneath the big box, this is where I'm asking questions, or rather I'm checking off boxes. I'm preparing stuff for my team. So this makes sure that I don't forget to do the things I need to do on the listing appointment. I'm telling you right now, guys, if you're on the Homexa team or any other team, they're going to have systems they expect you to follow, and there's things they need you to do in order to turn a listing in. This is what I had my team do. So number one, I check the box. Is the listing signed? Check. All right, do I need any signatures? Like maybe Mr. or Mrs. Seller wasn't there, or maybe another person's on title that for some reason wasn't there. So I'm going to check that need signature box, and I'm going to write down who I need to get that signature from. And are they going to be sending it to us, or are they going to be calling me for pickup? I'm checking that box as well. Ideally, I will set an appointment right then and there to say, okay, I'm going to have somebody come by at 4 o'clock tomorrow to pick that signature up or whatever. Okay. Now, middle column, is a sign okay? This is very important. Some neighborhoods don't allow signs. I need to know, is it okay for me to put a sign? And then I'll check that box down below there and say, put the sign up on what day? Put the sign up Tuesday, put the sign up Thursday, put the sign up whenever, right? But I want to make sure that I'm giving my staff instructions on when to put that sign up. Now, do I have a second sign location? Whenever possible, I want a second sign, okay? Signs are awesome lead generators. Okay. And a lot of people say, oh, but Michael, nobody calls on the sign anymore. That's not true. People still do. I don't care. Zillow, realtor.com, all that stuff's great. But at the end of the day, sign calls still happen and they are golden leads. And guys, the cost of a second sign is super cheap. If I can put a second sign up at the end of the block on the corner down there, then I'm going to do that. So if I have an ability to put a second sign up, I'll put the location there. Staff now knows they need to do that, right? And I love that. Jolene says she gets sign calls all the time. All right. And they're gold. They just are. All right. Now, the key box on. So in other words, did I put the key box on it or not? Okay. Check the box if the key box is on. And then if they're going to hide a key, like sometimes they don't have a key when I'm out there the first time. And so sometimes I'll have them hide a key. But better yet, what I'd rather do than have them hide a key is I'd rather give them the insert to the key box, teach them how to tuck the key inside there and stuff that key, that insert back up inside the key box. That's a much better way to go. That way I don't have to send somebody back out there to get that key into the key box. All right, now MLS on. So it's very important that we make sure we're putting this. I know this is in your paperwork, but I want this to be on the checklist as well. I want to make it as easy as possible for my staff to know right away the key things they need to know to take care of with this house. So I'm going to check that box, MLS on Thursday at whatever. Now, the box number. This is the serial number for the key box. Okay, this is very important. I'm going to check that box. I'm going to put the serial number for the key box in there so that my team knows what serial number key box goes with which house. Now, if there's a problem, they can read that box. They can also track our boxes more easily. Guys, think about this. At one point in time, I had over 1,000 key boxes. Can you imagine trying to keep track of 1,000 freaking key boxes? Guys, they were everywhere, okay? You need to have a system for how to keep track of your key boxes, and you're going to want to know which box is on which house. All right, pictures taken. I take pictures of everything when I go out there. So I want to make sure my staff knows that I've taken the pictures. One of the things that I do with my pictures, the first picture I take before I even go in the house, I take a picture of this checklist with their contact information in that upper left-hand corner. The last photo I take is the serial number of the key box, which will match this. Why do I do that? Because when my pictures get automatically uploaded into Google Photos, guess what my team can now do? They see the serial number. They can just go in, look for that serial number, work backwards toward the checklist, and all the stuff in between are the photos for that house. Now they have a basis from which to start. Now, are we still going to do pro photos? Most of the time, yes. Now, if it's a short sale, are we going to do pro photos? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I take pictures of the house so my staff knows what they're dealing with. And I do that right off the bat. All right. So, and this is just a great way to ensure that that system's flawless and I don't have to pay for anything else to do it. All right, now send runner. Okay, so I'll put a check marks there. If I need to send the runner out for anything, I'll put the date and what I need to send them out for right there. Now, restrictions. This is important. Some people say no showings after 8 o'clock or no showings on the weekends or whatever, right? Okay, whatever restrictions this listing is going to have, I put them there. And then the marketing remarks. Guys, here's the deal. I know most of you are using AI now to write your marketing remarks, and that's okay, that's fine. But what I want you to do is the listing agent is the person who was out there at the house and saw the house live and in person. The listing agent needs to put marketing remarks in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Do the best you can, and then staff will run it through AI when they get it. Then they will improve on it, they'll make it look better, but at least they know the important things about the house, and they know what they should and should not include in the marketing remarks, okay? All right, now, down below where it says 0 to 300 minus 25, 300 to 800 minus 50, 800 to 2 million minus 100. Can anybody tell me what that means? Anybody know? Type it into your chat if you think you know what that means. I'm curious. This is a big one, okay? So remember I told you at the beginning that we get automatic price reductions every 2 weeks? Well, this is the amount of those price reductions. So if the house is $0 to $300,000, my goal is I want to see 25, that's exactly right, Brooke. I want to see a $25,000 price reduction every 2 weeks until this thing's sold. If it's a $300,000 to $800,000 house, I want to see $50,000 price reductions every 2 weeks. If it's $800,000 to $2 million, I want to see $100,000 average every 2 weeks price reduction. Okay, very, very important. Now, If you are offering some kind of a USP, like a guarantee, maybe it is a 30-day guaranteed sale program or some other kind of guarantee, you need to make sure they opt in or opt out of your guarantee on this form, okay? And you need to make sure, see where it says, we acknowledge that the above information was explained in detail to me, us. I want them to initial that as well. This is very, very important. And I'll tell you when this is going to bite you in the butt if you don't do it. That's when you start getting to real scale. That's when you start listing a lot of homes. All of a sudden, you're going to start getting on the radar of your multiple listing service. And they're going to say, well, you're doing the same thing in all your listings. And that's a red flag to us. Which is really stupid because, frankly, everybody should be doing the same thing on every one of their listings, right? That's called systems, right? That's called following a system. But unfortunately, these knuckleheads at some of these MLSs, they don't know how to operate at scale. They don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to follow systems. And so when you do the same thing over and over again, they think that you're doing something sinister or something bad or whatever. So it's very important that we get the seller's initials on all of this. That, hey, I went through all this with you and we're doing the same every time. All right, now, right-hand side, I want to call from HRE. That's Hellickson Real Estate. That was my real estate team. But I want to call weekly, every 2 weeks, or when we have, and actually we're missing a little part there. That copyright notice got put kind of over the top of it, but it's supposed to say when we have an offer. Okay. And so, by the way, Camille, if you could update the checklist to clean that up for next time, that'd be great. But essentially what I want to know when they expect to get a call, okay? Again, we're going to call them every week anyway, but I want to know when they expect a call, and this helps me, again, set realistic expectations, under promise, and over deliver. All right, that's it. That's the checklist. So let's do this right now. I want you guys to raise your hand. I'm going to open it up for questions. Preferably, you should raise your hand, just ask your questions. If you want, you can put them into chat. But what I want you guys, as you guys are formulating your questions, what I want you to think about is this. Thank you, Camille. Perfect. Well done, Camille. It's almost like you read my mind. I love Camille. She's awesome. Best team member ever. I love her. All right. So here's the deal, Camille. Everybody. What I'm going to recommend is you need to get to that point where you can not have to do the lead generation and lead follow-up as much and focus 100% on lead conversion. I'm going to recommend you guys do something like a Home Exa, right? Home Exa is Austin's team. And I'm telling you, guys, this is the big shift in the marketplace today. It used to be that we went out and we were looking for agents that would show up and that would make the calls and that would go on the appointments and that would get the listing signed, and then they bring them back and they hand them off. Well, that's old school thinking. Let me tell you what the new school is. The new school is, hey, we got massive ISA teams. Let's go ahead and instead of finding agents that are going to do all of that stuff, let's find agents that when we get them in front of a client, they can actually convert, right? And so then what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll set all the appointments. We'll do all the lead generation, lead follow-up, put them on the appointments. They go out, they do the appointment. And all of a sudden now, all they got to do is convert on the appointment, bring that back, hand it off to staff, and then they go get the next one. Guys, let me tell you, that's what's happening in real estate today. And that's why you're seeing the bigger teams. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing the bigger teams doing so much more volume than everybody else. Now, I'm going to give you an example. And Gabby, let me answer your question really quick, and then I'm going to go to an example. I want to show you what's happening in the marketplace, guys, and I want to get you prepared for this, okay? And by the way, for those of you that are interested in coaching with us, let me just share this with you before I answer your question and share these next couple of things. For those of you that are interested in coaching with us, I'm going to give you a deal today. Normally our group coaching program, and I would recommend dip your toe in the water. Start with our group coaching program. It's normally $97 a month. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If for those of you that sign up right now while we're here, if you'll go to clubwealth.com/group, clubwealth.com/group, sign up today. It's normally $97 and it will charge you $97. But anybody that signs up in the next 30 minutes, I will reduce the price to $77 a month. So we'll give you a $20 refund, and then it'll just be $77 a month going forward. Camille, could you verify that you heard that instruction and make sure that we do that? Camille, did you catch that?
Yes, Michael.
Got it. Okay, there. And hold on, you put group coaching. I think it's just clubwealth.com/group, isn't it? Or does
It's the same. It's routed to the
goes to
same
the same place? Okay, cool. Thank you, Camille. All right. So anyway, that being said, that way you guys can get it. And by the way, for just $77 a month, and it's month to month, you can cancel at any time. If after the first month you're not in love with it, well, great. Then let us know. If you call us before the end of your first month, we'll just give you your money back if you don't want to stay in group coaching. But I'll promise you this, you're going to love it. All right. So that being said, I want to walk you through this. And the negative 25 in reduction, what that means is, Gabby, that I want to reduce the price. If I'm on a $0 to $300,000 house, I want to make sure that we're reducing the price by $25,000 every 2 weeks, no matter what. Okay. So that we get ahead of the market so that we can get that property sold. Because otherwise, if we sit there and languish on the market at too high a price, guess what? It gets what's called shop worn. In a shop worn house, people don't say, well, wow, that house would be a great deal at such and such a price. What they say is, oh yeah, we saw that one already. It was overpriced. Right. And to get them to come back to that house is really, really hard. So you don't ever want to be overpriced. You want to err in favor of being underpriced. If we're underpriced, let's say we're 10% below market, well, then we're going to get a lot of interest. We're going to get multiple offers. We're going to work them against each other and we're going to get the price up. And by the way, agents, this is exactly why my listings sold for 102.5% of list price when the average in my marketplace was 97% of list price. That means that my listings were selling for 5.25% more than the average agents in the marketplace, which gave me a huge competitive advantage. And it gave me a huge advantage on listing appointments. And it also helped me get a lot more money out of those sellers on listing appointments, because I could say things like, well, gee, Mr. and Miss Seller, I can appreciate that, so-and-so said that they would reduce their commission. Watch this. My listings sell for 5.25% more than the average listing in the marketplace. What that means is that even if I charge you a full 2% more, you're going to net 3.25% more with me than you will with any other agent out there. So what I got to ask you is, what's more important to you? How much I make or how much you make? Exactly. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? No? Fantastic. Here's the property disclosure form. Guys, it's that simple. I'm telling you, like you do that, you're going to list a ton of homes. All right. So that being said, can you pull up that slide? I'm going to show you guys the future real quick here. This is important. I want you guys to understand what's happening in the marketplace. Okay. So if you can pull that up. All right. There it is. Perfect. All right. So this is what's going on right now. First of all, guys, if you're not on a team or building a team, you need to be, okay? Like being a solo agent right now is so overrated. It's so much harder than it ever has been before, and teams are taking over the marketplace. In fact, more than half of the transactions that happened in 2021 even, and by the way, it's gotten worse since then, but in 2021, 51% of every transaction that closed involved one of the top 10% of teams. That's not all teams. That's just the top 10% of teams. Guys, I'm telling you right now, everything's going to teams right now. And if you're not sure what team you should be on, or if you're not sure what team, what questions to ask a team if you're thinking about joining a team, I want you to type in, you can send me a direct message if you want, or you can put it in the general chat here. Just type in team and your phone number, and I will text you a list of the questions you should ask team leaders if you're considering joining or changing teams. You can either send that to me privately in the chat here, or you can send it to the general chat, but just make sure your cell phone number's in there and I'll send it over to you. That being said, let me tell you about the three biggest teams in the country right now and what's going on. So you got Place, Space, and Homexa. These are monsters, okay? So Place, and by the way, let's back up. All of these, think of it like even if you're a solo agent, let's say you're a solo agent and you just want like a done for you platform where, you can get to a point where you're just doing lead conversion and you don't have to do lead gen and lead follow-up. Okay. Well, how do I get there? Well, and by the way, you should continually do your own lead gen and lead follow-up, because again, that will augment how much business you're doing. But these guys, these three platforms, they'll do a ton of that for you. So watch this. They're all national, right? So they're all big nationwide companies. And if you want to follow along with me, upper left-hand corner of this slide, you'll see where I'm at. They market and brand you. So they're not branding the team. Normally on a small local team, it's the Johnson team or the Jehoshaphat team or whatever, right? And you're branding the team leader. But with these guys, you get to brand you. Even if you're just a solo agent, they brand you and not them. Now, they take care of all your transaction coordination, all of your listing coordination, your HR, your hiring, your onboarding. They do all of that for you. They take care of all your technology, all your CRM, your analytics, your back office, your automation. They do all of that for you. They will either provide you with or pay for all or part of your training and coaching. In fact, like if you're with Homexa will pay for half of Club Wealth coaching for you, which is huge, right? I mean, and by the way, if you're with Homexa, the group coaching at Club Wealth is free to you. If you want to do the one-on-one coaching with Club Wealth, which by by the way, if you really want to explode your business, that's the way to do it. But Home Exit will pay for half your one-on-one coaching, which is huge. It's gigantic. All right. That being said, they focus on agent freedom tools and upside without leadership burden. Now, here's what that really means. Their job is to make your job as easy as possible so you can do the things that pay the most. So you're not doing $20 an hour stuff. You're doing things that are $2,000 an hour stuff, okay? Now, they also pay really good splits. So think about this. When you join a team, you're usually on a 50-50 split or whatever it is, and some teams are more aggressive than that in favor of the team. But here's what these big nationals are doing now. These guys are erring in favor of the agent. They're paying the agent a much bigger split than used to be on a traditional team. And how are they able to do that? How in the world are they able to be profitable and still do that? Well, here's how. Because they require vendor loyalty. What does that mean? See, they don't look at it like, hey, we're going to make a bunch of money on every real estate transaction. They went out and they bought companies like mortgage, title, escrow, home warranty, like you name it. They have their fingers in all these different pies. And so when you use these other things, that's how they get paid. I really believe that there's going to come a time where you eventually, as the real estate agent, will get 100%, maybe even 102% of the commission on every transaction. How is that possible? Well, because they understand that the real value here, the money is made in client acquisition, right? And so they recognize that the value of that customer, think about the lifetime value of a customer, right? All the deals they'll do with you, all the deals they'll send, and the referrals they send, and then the referrals they send, and think of all the commissions on all that. Well, the lifetime value of a customer in a $250,000 average sales price market is just over $1 million. Now, think about this. If you're in a $500,000 average sales price market, that's over $2 million in lifetime value that one customer is going to bring you in commissions with them and their referrals and so forth, okay? That's big money, but that's not where the real big money is. Although that's big money. So what they're saying is they're willing to give you that money, and you then are willing to use their vendors because that's how they get paid. So that's how you get the bigger splits. It's a big deal. Carrie, on that, if you could do me a favor, if you could throw your cell phone number in there for hosts and panelists to see, then Camille will take care of that, and she'll make sure she gets you those questions to ask. All right, now ideal clients. What are they looking for? They're looking for teams. A lot of teams have been joining these companies, right? And thank you for that, Carrie. And not only that, they're also looking for solo agents, right? They're basically looking for anybody that's a real estate agent, whether they're on a team or whether they're the team leader or just a solo agent who want to really scale their business, but they don't want to deal with all this back end stuff. All right, so let's talk about the first one. The first one is a company called Place. Now, this was started by Ben Kinney. Now, he started this about 8 years ago. Really smart guy. And great platform. And what he did was he went to Goldman Sachs and he says, hey, I got this great idea. We're going to take all this stuff off the agent's plate so they can focus on what really makes the big money. And Goldman Sachs says, wow, we think that's a really good idea. Hey, how about this? Why don't we give you $100 million, literally $100 million to go build this out? And Ben said, well, gosh, that sounds like a really good idea. $100 million sounds pretty good to me. I think I'll take it. And so he took the $100 million, right? Well, that sounds great. And a lot of people are like, wow, he just made it. And frankly, it was very good for Ben. And it was really good for Goldman. But watch this. When you take $100 million from somebody, how do you make your decisions at that point? For that company, all the future decisions, is it about, hey, what's best for the consumer or what's best for the agent or what's best for Goldman Sachs? Now you have to make the decisions based on what's best for Goldman Sachs. Now, granted, they've got, I want to say it's 10,000 agents at Place right now. And I think they did 22,000 transactions last year, some crazy number like that. But here's the thing, as big as that sounds, that's only 2.2 transactions per agent per year, which is really low, right? But the company is doing really, really well, right? Because again, they're doing it at scale. And so, for them to make a little bit on a whole bunch of agents is great. The downside is the agents aren't crushing it, right? It's kind of like most brokerages. If you look at most major brokerages, they're designed, like if they have a training program, like Keller Williams has MAPS, for example. Well, what is their program designed to do? It's designed to get you to close 4 to 7 transactions per year. Why? Because that's when you cap. Once you hit 7 transactions a year, you've capped. You're not paying them the big bucks anymore. So their focus on all their training is how do we get people from 0 to go to now doing 4 to 7 transactions per year. And if I can get them doing 4 to 7, I think I said month a minute ago, it's per year. Sorry about that if I misspoke. But if I can get them doing 4 to 7 transactions per year, guess what? As a company, we make a lot of money. Well, that's not great for the agent either. Now, one of the advantages that I do see with Place is that they allow you to remain with your current brokerage. That's a big advantage. I like that a lot about their model, okay? Because a lot of people are happy at the brokerage that they don't want to have to switch brokerages. Okay, great. Well, now enter Space. Look to the right there. Space is a company similar to Place. The difference is that they're privately held. They did not sell out to Wall Street. And by the way, when I say that, guys, this is not me saying there's something wrong with Place. All right, I'm just identifying the differences between these companies. Obviously, they're doing a lot of good things there. All right. So that being said, with Space, they've got really intelligent leadership. A guy named Keith and a guy named Austin, not my son Austin, but a different Austin, run Space. Really intelligent guys, great model. Here's the downside in my mind, or one of the downsides in my mind, is that they require you to move to LPT. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with LPT. Frankly, I love LPT. I think it's a great brokerage. And by the way, we work with every broker out there, all right? So I don't care if it's LPT, EXP, Rio, whatever. There's all kinds of great brokerages out there. I just don't love that you have to move to LPT to be part of Space. Now, I know why they did that. The reason they did that is because it really simplifies the back end, right? So it helps them operate at a higher profit margin because they don't have to deal with 100 different brokerages because of their agents, right? That said, what I love about them and about Homexa, by the way, is that they're agent experience centered. So and really what I mean there is they're agent profit centered. So instead of trying to get you to do 4 to 7 transactions a year, they want to get you doing 4 to 7 transactions a month. And that's where you start making a lot of money. Okay. I love that. That I think is great. I really like that about these models because unlike, and by the way, that's where Club Wealth's at, right? Our whole thing is how do I help you do as many transactions as possible in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to you? And that's why I'm telling you about these platforms, by the way, because it's one of the ways and frankly, I think it's the easiest way to get you doing more business in less time with less headache. All right. So let's go to Homexa at the bottom there. So Homexa is also privately held. Actually, Austin, my son, owns Homexa. By the way, right now, currently, as far as I know, fastest growing team in the country. He's literally got, I'm not even, I can't even make this up. I'm totally serious. He has got literally on the low end 1 to 6 people a day joining Homexa right now. He had 6 yesterday, as an example. Now, why are they joining Homexa in such rapid succession? Why are so many people flocking to Homexa? Well, number one, the leadership team's freaking awesome. Number 1 listing agent in the country, right? So this is a kid that's actually gone out there and freaking done it. He listed 164 homes himself last year, not counting his team. That's just him. And by the way, that's while running a massive team, right? And so now he's 100% focused on the team members and their growth. So he's not even listing homes anymore. He gives all those opportunities to his team members. But check this out. They allow you to remain with your current brokerage. That's a very big deal, okay? So you do not have to switch brokerages to be part of Homexa. They're agent experience centered. And again, we could substitute experience for profit, right? So they're agent profit centered. How do we help the agents profit as much as possible, okay? Now, another thing that's very different, and this is different than all of them, okay? They're very family focused. And I'm going to share this with you. This is important. Most of these companies out there, they'll wear you out. They're just going to squeeze and get as much juice out of you as they possibly can. That's not Homexa. Here's the thing. Write this down. This is also our core value at Club Wealth, by the way, and Camille will put this in the chat also. No success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. No success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. Guys, this is a very big deal, all right? So here's what they do. They want to make sure that you can make as much money as possible in the least amount of time with least amount of headache to you, meaning they don't want you working 24/7, 365. You can make a great living in real estate without having to do that, okay? Very important. Now, the last two, I'm actually going to talk about those in reverse order. Let's talk about listing dominant for a minute. Most companies out there, what they're looking for is buyer agents. Why? Because 4 out of 5 agents are a buyer agent, not a listing agent. And when I say that, 4 out of 5 agents are better at working with buyers than they are at working with sellers. We can go into that whole debate some other time if you want. But just understand that the vast majority of agents out there are more buyer friendly than seller friendly. Now, That said, Austin has done just the exact opposite of what most teams in the country are doing. What Homexa does is they're growing the listing side of the business. Now they have buyer agents, of course, and those buyer agents they get red hot, sign call leads, and they're getting great leads that they can then go sell houses to, and they're higher paying leads because they don't have to pay. They don't buy Zillow leads and all that, right? So you're not paying the ridiculous referral fees and all that kind of stuff that you'd have to pay to a Zillow and some of these other companies. These guys are getting great organic leads, which means the agents are making a lot more. And they also teach their agents how to double their commissions. Like I teach you guys here, they teach them how to double their commissions on both the buy side and the sell on the listing side. That being said, think about this. When you control the inventory, you control the marketplace, right? So go out and get as many listings as possible. You now control the marketplace. You control the commissions. You control the buyers because every buyer, if they see your signs everywhere, guess what? They're going to have to deal with you at some point. They're coming through one of your funnels at some point, whether it's sign calls or ads or whatever. And so guess what? Now you have control of that. This is a very big deal, okay? And this is where the market's headed. So that's a huge difference with HomeX is that they're very listing focused. They literally said the first 2 weeks of this month, I'm just talking the first 2 weeks of this month, and I'm only talking expired calls. Just on expired calls, just on the first 2 weeks of this month, they set over 200 appointments for their listing agents. That's crazy, you guys. Think about that. I had one. I can't remember how many they listed yesterday, but one of their guys yesterday, he got like 2 listing appointments set, took a listing, got another deal under contract, got an average price point's like $600,000 for that guy. Guys, I'm telling you, like this is the future of real estate. I'm telling you, there's going to be probably 10 or 15 companies like these 3 that are going to control 75 or 80% of the marketplace in the next 3 years. I'm not joking. It's coming. It's already happening. Like it's not even a question. It's just it's a foregone conclusion. That said, here's the other thing that Homexa has that nobody else has. They are the only team in the country with a robust, unlimited revenue share model. So if you guys are with a brokerage, for example, some of you have rev share at your brokerages, right? Whether it's EXP, Real, LPT, whatever. There's lots of rev share brokerages out there now, and there's going to be a lot more in the future. But that said, with a rev share model brokerage, there's a cap on how much you can get, right? Because people cap, like, so you only pay your brokerage so much, and then you only do a little transaction fee going forward, right? So in a rev share model brokerage, the agents are going to make about, and what they're doing is they're incentivizing you for bringing other people to the brokerage, right? Great. So with a rev share model brokerage, you will make between $500 and $800 per year per person in your downline. Doesn't matter which brokerage it is, they're all roughly the same, okay? There's some nuances, there's some differences, but in terms of how much you're going to make, it's similar, okay? And so $500 to $800 per year per agent in your downline is kind of the average. Now, that being said, I have friends at some of these brokerages. I mean, I look at Mike Reese, Jay Kinder, Albie Stasic, Curtis Johnson. All 4 of those guys have had years where they made over $4 million just in downline revenue at their brokerage. Brent Gove made over $12 million in downline revenue in his brokerage in 1 year. That's pretty freaking good, right? Now, granted, he has like half of EXP is in his downline, but dude, he made $12 million. He earned it, right? Good for him. My point behind it is this. Yes, there's a lot of money to be made there, but dude, there's a cap. Curtis is your cousin. Dude, Curtis is a very good friend of mine, Brooke. I love that guy. He's super good. Last time I saw him, I was swimming with him and Dax in the pool in their backyard. Anyway, long story short, so let's back up. So on a team model, so Homex is the only team with a rev share model, right? And only one in the country that I'm aware of. There may be somebody else, but I'm not aware of anybody. But what's really cool is there's no cap. So let's say that Brooke, let's say you referred Curtis over to Homexa, right? And Curtis, he's not going to leave EXP. There's zero chance he's ever going to leave EXP. Good, that's fine. He can stay there because you could be with Homexa and stay with your current brokerage. And so he'll get paid his millions of dollars in downline revenue over there. And oh, by the way, now that he's over here also as a team, when he sells, let's say he does $150,000 in GCI that year, well, guess what? 10% of that, so $15,000, that goes into the rev share model. And what that means is the first tier gets that 5%. So they're getting $7,500 on first tier. This is such a big deal. And by the way, yeah, Brooke, I bet you wish you'd have said yes to him 5 years ago when he tried to get you into EXP. And watching what he's making now, holy cow, man, he's done really well for himself, right? By the way, he did the same thing with me. He tried to get me in there 5 years ago too. And I love Curtis, but I got to be brand agnostic. We work with every brand out there, and I need to remain that way. But anyway, that being said, so with Homexa, you'd get 75 on an agent that you bring to the team that does $150,000 in GCI. You make $7,500 first tier because you brought them in. And oh, by the way, it pays the other $7,500 gets paid out over the next 9 tiers. Guys, this is crazy. Like you guys, so it's not $500 to $800 per agent per year that you're gonna make. I don't even know what the math is on it, but it's light years bigger than that. And that's just for attracting people to the team. I got to tell you, these guys are growing so fast. They are going to, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if they'll ever be bigger than Place. I mean, Place has 10,000 agents right now, but here's what I can tell you. They'll be a lot more productive. It's kind of like the difference between Club Wealth and Tom Ferry. And again, Tom's built a great organization for himself, but his average agent does about 20 transactions a year. At Club Wealth, our average agent does about 200 transactions a year. There's a big difference, right? And by the way, they do it with, still get to have a life. So my point is simply this: y'all owe it to yourselves. You should check out Homexa. If I could recommend one thing to you, obviously I'd love to get you into coaching with Club Wealth. I'd love to help you out there. But man, you guys have got to check out Homexa. You got to check out what they're doing. It's insane. And I'll tell you, if you want to make more money in less time with less headache, that's the place I would start. And even if you're not going to join them, go find out what they're doing. Maybe copy. Maybe you want to do something similar. Maybe you want to create your own Homexa. Great. Well, go do a call with them and learn what they do, learn how they do it. If you're by the way, if you're interested in doing that, type Homexa in the chat and I'll have them reach out to you. Just put Homexa and your phone number in the chat and I'll have Austin reach out to you or something. But I'll tell you this, guys. Just by taking a look at it, you're going to understand a lot better where this industry is headed. And there's no going back. Everything's changed now. Everything has changed. And let's see. Oh, and Camille is saying, okay, Camille, what is that? So Camille's got a discount code or a promo code for the group coaching that will allow it to be 77 immediately without me having to refund you the 20 and all that. So Camille, can you just type that in for everybody? Okay, there you go, guys. If you go to clubwealth.com/group coaching and type in promo code 44point, it will, and it's only lasts for the next 30 minutes until we're done with the webinar. And it will give you that discount down to 77. Okay. And then I'll have Homexa reach out to you guys, that are typing in Homexa in your phone number. I'll promise you this, guys, everybody I see, okay, watch this. I'll just give you 3 examples. There's 3 guys that joined the team last month. On those 3 guys that joined the team, they're all brand new to real estate, brand new real estate agents, first month in the business. The first one listed 3 houses. Second one listed 5 houses. The third one listed 8 houses, their first month as a real estate agent. And by the way, the third one was part-time. He's dual career. He's also working another full-time job and listed 8 houses in his first month as a real estate agent, working just 2 days a week. Guys, that's insanity. Okay. I'm telling you right now, if they can do it, you can do it. That said, I really hope you guys got a lot of value today. I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. Hold on, Ed, and referral form that your team uses. Oh, Ed, that's a great one. Camille, do you have that handy? I know it's in the packet that we give. I don't know if we have it handy to right this second, Ed. Are you coaching with us one-on-one? Because Ed, if you're coaching with us one-on-one, if you go to Club Wealth University and search 37-minute guaranteed listing presentation, that form is in there. It also has a video of me teaching how to do the listing appointment. And I can't see what your last name is, Ed, but anyway, long story short, what I would recommend is that you go to the 37-minute guaranteed listing presentation on Club Wealth University, watch the video of me teaching how to do the listing presentation, then watch the videos of me on a live listing presentation start to finish, and then I want you to watch the videos of Austin on a live listing presentation start to finish. All of that's available there. Austin's got his hand up. Austin, can we make it so he can turn his camera on? Oh, hold on. I'm going to promote you to a panelist, Austin. There you go. That should do it for you. And let's see if Austin pops in as a panelist. He wants to. By the way, I didn't know he was going to be on here, so I'm actually stoked to see this. You guys, if you don't know Austin, this is my son, Austin. There he is. Dude, you guys need to get to know this guy. This guy's the #1 listing agent on the planet right now. Pretty crazy. Are we able to watch it if we are not part of Club Wealth? Yeah, Tia, the 37-minute guaranteed listing presentation kit is only available to Club Wealth one-on-one coaching clients. Now, if you're interested in one-on-one, just type in 1x1 in your chat, and I'll have somebody reach out to you.
Or if you're part of Hellickson, you also get that included.
That's right. I'm sorry. That's a good point, Austin. I appreciate that. I forgot about that. If you're with Hellickson, the 37-minute guarantee. Is Tia with Hellickson? Is it? It's okay. I don't know. But anyway, long story short, if you're with Hellickson, they also get that 37-minute guaranteed listing presentation kit at no cost. That's part of the training that they have. Austin, you wanted to add something. Go ahead. By the way, it's good to see you, bud. Love you.
No, I was jumping on to making sure I was on the call.
No, I'm glad you're here. Dude, it's so funny. Austin right now, look at the way he's dressed right now. I'm going to share this with you guys because I love that you put a jacket on over the t-shirt as if to say, Dad, I'm dressed up, I promise. But I'm
in jeans today.
Yeah, me too. But what's crazy is I want you guys to think about this. So your audience matters. Like who your audience is dictates how you should be dressed, right? And if your audience is consumers, which most of you are having a consumer audience, which means mom and pop buying and selling homes, right? You should dress up more, right? When on listing appointments, Austin would never go dressed like he is to a listing appointment. The way he goes to listing appointments, he would have the jacket on and a nice button-up shirt underneath and slacks, right? I used to go in a suit and tie. And I'll tell you, we've split tested this and we've found unequivocally, you will list more homes when you're dressed up than when you're not. Now, today, our audience is real estate agents, right? So guess what? Real estate agents resonate better with somebody in a t-shirt and jeans than they do with somebody in a suit and tie. Isn't that crazy? So guess what? We've changed our attire to match our audience and to ensure that that we're more relatable to the audience with whom we're working. Austin, go ahead. Whatever. I want anything.
I was going to mention that same exact thing that like I do a lot of meetings now with agents compared to consumers. And that said, transparently in the past month to month and a half, I've not worn a button-up shirt for a recruiting appointment. Making sure my dad did not know that until now, so I'll probably get a phone call after this call. Anyways,
I'm okay with it as long as the numbers are there. I don't care what you wear. Wear a freaking mankini for all I care, as long as you're closing at the rate that you are. Dude, when you're getting 6 people joining your team in a single day, I don't know anybody in the country doing that. Nobody.
And that was yesterday, right?
Wear whatever you want. What's that?
And I will say this. I had a team member tell me after the fact on this listing appointment that he wore jeans and cowboy boots to an Eastern Washington listing appointment. 5-acre parcel. He obviously still wore his button-up jacket, but he dressed, I want to say, appropriately to the seller. And what happened is he signed the listing. And I can tell you this, Michael, because you are not a licensed agent, but Eric got this listing at 7%. Isn't that crazy?
That's what I'm saying. And that's to the listing office, right?
That was total. So it was 5 and 2. Total. My point being is that when in doubt,
he got it at 5 to the listing office, which is exactly what he should be doing.
And when in doubt, overdress, right? When in doubt, overdress, dress to impress, suit and tie. And if you're a lady business professional, as in, a woman's suit, skirt, dress, however you prefer to do it, but make sure it's always appropriate.
Here's the thing, guys. You got a lot of money on the line. I mean, look at this. You're going to make between $12,500 and $25,000 on a $500,000 house. You should dress up as if you're going to a job interview because you are. That's exactly what it is. It's a job interview. Treat it like that and you'll get a lot more. The other thing is you got to get rid of the limiting beliefs. Guys, a lot of people out there are happy if they get 1 listing a month. That's weak. Are you kidding me? You should be shooting for 10 listings a month. And it's not that hard to get there when you have the right team and the right systems in place. He did 168. Sorry, I said 164 earlier. I think it was 168 last year. Is that correct?
So year to date, 99, 168 last year, 124 the year before that, 97, 98 year before that. That was
but you haven't even been on, you haven't been doing listing appointments consistently for the last, 3 months?
Yeah, but since the event. Since the event, you said recruit. And I brought on 1 person a day this entire month so far.
Yeah. Guys, I'm telling you, if he can do it, you can do it. All right. So what questions do you guys have for me or for Austin before we wrap up? Any questions you guys have left? And Austin, is there anything else you want to share? And I know somebody was asking, how much does home exit cost to a realtor? Austin's does a call. If you put your phone number and stuff in there, then Austin.
I'll do this.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. What's easier?
Is that number 1, to answer your question for everybody on the call, there's no upfront cost, no monthly cost. My goal is to limit the number of excuses agents have and give them what they need to succeed. That's the overarching goal of what we do. If you want to learn more, there's a link in the chat. It's a 15-minute phone call with me. So schedule a 15-minute phone call with me. We can talk later this week, next week, whichever is best for you. There's no pressure there to chat. That said, I will say this. I actually just got a text message from Dennis since we've been on this call, and since I joined, he's like, dude, I've signed at least almost one listing a week since I joined Hellickson 2 months ago.
And he's just getting warmed up, and brother is not following his schedule like he should be. And I'm telling you, if that kid would look, he's going to be great. If he would follow his schedule like he should be, that kid could easily be doing twice the number of listings. But here's the crazy part. He's in San Diego, California. His average sales price is what, like 800? It's some crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I haven't been on this webinar all that long to know 100%. I mean, obviously, it was about the listing presentation / checklist. What I will say this for everybody on the call. There is one thing that matters in your business, and that is it. And that's your system. Everything is based around your system. Systems run businesses, and you need to run your system, right? If you look behind on the board, there's 3 that he has up on the board behind you, and there's 2 different types that you need to have. You're going to have your seller lead gen, lead follow, lead conversion, and you have your recruiting lead gen, lead follow, lead conversion. When you mesh those together, that's where your business is going to start to flourish. But you have to start with that very most important system that Michael had just mentioned. It's your daily schedule and your habits. If you do those 6 things, lead gen, lead follow, lead conversion for, again, seller side and recruiting side, daily, watch out, world. Again, the problem is no one's going to do it. Truth be told, it's too hard.
When you say no one, very few people will. But here's the thing. If you want to make, I'll tell you right now, anybody on this call wants to make 7 figures a year. If we could get you to focus for 4 hours a day, I'm not even joking. If we could get you to focus for 4 hours a day and follow that hardcore schedule for 4 hours a day, you could make 7 figures a year. I'm telling you, everybody thinks it's harder than it is. The fact of the matter is people are just weak and people won't do they won't make calls for 4 hours a day. But watch this. What if you were on a team? What if you were on Hellickson and you followed the schedule? Hellickson is setting appointments for you. You're setting appointments for you. You're doing your 4 hours of calls. Instead of doing lead generation, eventually will just be lead follow-up. So now you're doing lead follow-up and lead conversion, and you're starting, I'm telling you, 7 figures is not that hard to accomplish in this business if you will just be consistent every day. The problem is most people won't be consistent. Go ahead, Austin.
No, I'm super excited. I see Melissa and Tia so far jumped on there and scheduled a call with me for later today and for Friday.
Awesome.
So that said,
very cool.
Super excited to chat with you all later today.
Good stuff. And then anybody else that's on, the easiest way to get that appointment scheduled, I know there's a few people, Austin, there's Alejandro and Tia and several people that have typed in here, Eric, that want to do a call with you. But if you guys could jump on that link that Austin just put in the chat, that'd be the fastest way to get a call scheduled with him. And so if you could do that, that would save you and him a lot of time. Yeah. Anyway, anybody else have any questions for Austin? By the way, for those of you that don't know, and this is, first of all, this is proud dad look right here. Yeah, I'm super proud of you, Austin. Here, 23-year-old kid. Look at what this guy's done at 23 years old, guys. He's done more at 23 years old than I did by the time I was 30 years old. In fact, by the time I was about 35, he's way ahead of my career. And the reason is he's nicer. Well, let me back up. He's more disciplined, number one. He's nicer, he's smarter, and you can forget I said that, Austin. Everybody else can hear that but you. But guys, like, seriously, give it a shot. And Austin, what if you could give people one piece of advice besides following their perfect daily schedule? What one piece of advice would you give the people on the call right now that would be a game changer for their business?
I'll show them something. So I want someone in the chat to put what city you're in.
Oh, I know what you're going to share. Dude, this is crazy. You guys got to watch this. Right here,
Tuscaloosa. What? That's even, people still live in Alabama? People still live there?
Is Tuscaloosa,
I swear
Alabama?
Because that's where, what's it called? That's the football team. That's where the football team's from. Crimson Tide, baby. Okay.
Okay, there you go. All right.
So that said, I'm going to share. I'm going to hit request there. So this right here, guys, is the easiest way for you to make $100,000 on this call. It sounds really simple. But you guys, if each
and this is whether you sign up for coaching with Club Wealth or not, whether you sign up for Hellickson or not, $100,000 easy. This is a great system. Watch it.
So let's see. And number one, while it's pulling up, Melanie, Alex as well. Super excited to chat with you guys as well here later today. It looks like as well. So that said, Tuscaloosa. Just kidding. How do I spell this thing right? I gotta look in the chat.
Hold on, I'll give it to you. Hold on, dude, this is crazy.
TUSCA. All right, Control C.
TUSCAO. There you
All
go.
right, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
So you're on Zillow right now. Okay, all
Yep.
right.
So all I do is go to Zillow and I type in a city name, and then I know I cover the entire state. So I would recommend you guys do as well. So I'm just going to zoom out, and then we're just going to go all the way from Birmingham as well, which I'm assuming you would cover Birmingham as well. On that note, let me back up even before then. 20,000 results almost on this page. So that's a good amount of people on the market. However, we don't care about listed properties. We want only owner posteds, right? Because we're calling for sale by owners. Apply. Now I'm going to look at the homes that are newest. I call new FSBOs, and I also call older FSBOs as well.
Dude, that's still a crap ton.
And now there's 324. Yeah, look at this freaking page, right?
It's a
And again, I'm
lot.
looking for the ones with the bad pictures. As an example, look at this. 216, there's no pictures posted. This one's a decent picture of their yard. I mean, not the greatest pictures. I might call that one. Are we selling the dog or are we selling a house here? Like, come on, guys, what are we selling? Pictures are out of order. Again, nice living room. What's the front of the house look like? Oh, hey, it looks like trees, right? I mean, scrolling down even further. Nice long driveway, but not the greatest pictures. No, 10-acre lot, nothing's posted. $1.2 million house.
That's a terrible photo.
And there's 2 pictures. So my point being, guys, are we selling a swamp or are we selling a house? Like, come on now. Anyways, my point being is just all these people, bad pictures, and they're not bad price points either. So what I'm doing is I'm calling those guys and saying, hey, is this the owner of 123 Main Street? Yes, who is this? Oh, it's Austin. I'm looking at your place on Zillow right now. And then again, I say that specifically before I say I'm an agent, before I say my company name. If I can keep them on the phone for 10 to 15 seconds, they are not going to hang up on me. I can almost guarantee it every single time when I speak with energy and convey authority. So now I'm looking at your place on Zillow right now. I mean, full transparency, I'm a real estate agent. I saw your pictures were messed up, and I just wanted to make sure you knew about that. And I shut up and I don't say a single thing. And then they're going to either act concerned, already know it, be frustrated with Zillow. I don't care what happens at this point. I want to get them talking. But guess what? They are not going to hang up on you because you just did what's called a pattern interrupt. Oh, he's an agent. He's going to be calling to list my house. Oh, wait, my pictures are messed up. What do you mean my pictures are messed up? Now I can bring them value. Yeah, I'm looking at your $1.2 million house on Zillow, and I only see 2 pictures posted. I'm not sure if you saw that before, and it looks like it's not even fully in the frame. Just want to make sure you've seen those pictures if you haven't already. Now I have their trust. I'm not asking for the listing right now. I'm their friend. And then this, that, the other, going to say whatever they want to say. I really don't care. And then I'm going to say, so Michael, out of curiosity, why did you decide to go for sale by owner? And they're going to be,
I just don't want to pay the commission.
Right? Commissions. I can do it myself. I've sold homes in the past. I had my house on the market with an agent in the past and they sucked. Whatever it is. Right? And then what I'm going to do is I call it the objection handling dogfight. And this is one thing I teach everybody within home access. There's 4 things you have to do with every single objection. Agree. Right? Agree with them. I don't blame you, Michael, for X, Y, Z. I don't blame you for wanting to do FSBO if your agents suck. That's frustrating. Again, builds trust. I'm not frustrated with Michael as the seller. I'm frustrated with Michael's agent with Michael. That's trust. We're now together. Number 2.
Hold on one second. One of the things they say is that nothing brings people together like a common enemy. And so you just created the common enemy. It's a very powerful tool.
Yep. Number 2, I'm going to identify the true objection. They're giving me the surface level thing, right? They're giving me the surface level of I don't want to work with an agent because my agent sucked. What did their agent do that was the frustrating thing? That's the true objection. So I'm going to try and solve and uncover that. Step 3 is I'm going to handle that objection and give evidence of success. Why am I the one to work with? And number 4, I'm going to go for the close. Do that every single time on one of these phone calls. Hand over fist, you will set appointments. And again, start to charge more. Use your 44-point checklist with that 37-minute guaranteed listing presentation, and it is on like Donkey Kong. And Crimson Tide might be ranked once again. Top 10 like BYU is.
Whatever, you're such a dork. But that's so true. And by the way, I wanted to really quickly acknowledge I saw Krista Mayshore is on the call today. And by the way, Krista, something you are going to love. For that, remember when I was talking about the rev share component in Homexa? Even for those people that don't want to be, let's say Krista, you've got your own team, you're already, you're a coach, all this stuff, and you're with your own, I think you're with EXP if I remember right, I can't remember. But long story short, you don't want to change brokerages, which is fine. You don't have to be on HomeX anyway, but you probably also aren't looking to join a team right now. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But watch this. Even if you're not, you can still participate in the rev share model by referring people to HomeX. This is where it gets really crazy. You can be a growth partner because it's not a brokerage rev share model. You can be a growth partner and refer people to HomeX and get paid the same. You can, or not the same, but you can get paid. There's a model for that where you can get paid for all those referrals and that downline.
These are the co-sponsor.
It's a co-sponsor, essentially. That's exactly right. And Gabby, yes, an entire team can join HomeX, and they often do. We're seeing.
I just had a team join yesterday.
Yesterday was you had a team join yesterday, yeah.
So I have half their team already joined. So Michael, Anna, Sharon, Alex as well. I just got some of those ones coming through. Look forward to chatting with you guys later today.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. But anyway, my point is this. This is like what Austin has done is taken everybody's models out there and kind of like refined it down into like the unicorn model, like the seriously, like when you guys dig into it and you start seeing it, it's crazy. Like it's everything everybody else has been trying to put together. But by the time they figure the stuff out, they're so deep in their model. I'll give you a great example. Keller Williams, right? And I love Keller. Don't get me wrong. If you're with Keller, no offense, please just relax. But watch this. What's going on is with Keller, Glenn Sanford came out at EXP with the rev share model, which turned the whole industry upside down. Keller couldn't adjust. Why? Because they already had physical facilities. They had their own profit share, different than rev share. They had a profit share model instead of a rev share model. And it's like trying to turn the Titanic in the middle of an iceberg field, right? Well, guess what? Austin took all this stuff and he's gone to, because I'm going to take a little credit here, Austin, because the access that he got to all these CEOs of all these big companies because of my relationship with them, Austin went out and started meeting with all these really smart, high-level people, figured out all the stuff, not only that they've done, but figured out where they're going and what they're trying to pivot to. And he took advantage of all that, baked it into HomeX, and he did it from the ground up. So he doesn't have to try and turn the Titanic. He's like a speedboat going through there. Dude, I'm telling you, it is on fire right now, and they're just crushing it. Anyway, this wasn't meant to be a webinar to sell HomeX, but I'm just telling you guys, you got to check it out. Like, you're crazy if you don't. Anyway, other questions? Anybody or anything else, Austin?
And while you guys are putting things into the chat and questions in the Q&A, the number one thing anyone here can do is implement. Yeah. That is, define one thing on this call through the menu, right? Through other things that you've heard from me as well. Implement just one thing, right? My goal for everybody within HomeX, find a way to meet with one person a day. Right? Maybe send out 5 video texts today to get someone to respond to you if you have to, saying, hey, Michael, I'm thinking about you. I was going through my contacts on my phone. That's 25 people a week at 50 weeks a year. I can't even do that math. What is that? Over 1,000 people just in video texts at what, 2 to 3 minutes worth of videos a day? Think about those relationships you'll cultivate. If you meet with one new person a day at a working year, that is taking almost a month off, 250 people every single year of new buyers or sellers you have met with. By small and simple things will great things come to pass.
Oh, and look at you quoting scripture.
And don't focus. I say this every single day to my team, right? Don't focus on the big picture.
Yeah.
Focus on the small things. Focus on the palatable things daily, the habits that you need to have in place, and the end things will come. But you can't focus on how many closings you're going to have if you're not even making phone calls. Focus on, I'm going to make 10 dials today. Then I'm going to make an hour. Then I'm going to make 2, 3, 4 hours a day. Then I'm going to do these videos. And guess what? The results will compound. Lead generation, lead follow, lead conversion daily equals success.
100%. Doreen had a question. What if you don't have listings to prove? So Doreen, help me understand exactly what you mean by that. So
when I'm talking about the evidence of success, I believe is when I was talking about that objection handling dogfight.
Okay.
If you don't have listings yourself, use your teams and or organizations. If you're not on a team or within the HomeX organization, use your brokerages.
Yeah.
And I'll have to say this: if you're not a part of a brokerage, well, you shouldn't be selling real estate. I mean,
You have to be able to sell real estate, right? So, but
Right.
to your point, Austin, I mean, here's the thing, guys. Think about this. Instead of saying, I did this or I did that, say, we did this, we did that. That's how you use your team or your brokerage's stats to your advantage. And look, we all had to do that when we were brand new in the business. That's just what you do, right? You talk in terms of we instead of I. And it's very straightforward. And I'll tell you, guys, when you learn how to do this, and by the way, the easiest way to learn how to do this is by doing it. It's by getting as many at-bats as possible. I'll give you a great example. So when I was listing houses, I was listing 50 to 75 houses a month, working 12 days a month. So I got really, really, really good at it, right? But how did I do that? So I would work 4 days a week, 3 weeks a month. And so I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was my work week. Okay. And then I spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the family, which worked for our family. It might not work for yours, but it worked great for ours. That said, I was better on Thursday than I was on Monday by far. Why? Because I'd had 3 full days of back-to-back 5, 6, 7, 8 appointments a day for 3 days before I got to Thursday. On Mondays, I was weak. And I say weak, I was weaker, right? Like I had to get back in the groove every Monday. But by Thursday, I was on fire. That's what I'm saying. Like if you guys are only going on 2, 3, 4 listing appointments a month, you're not going to get great at this. You're never going to be amazing at this at that level. If you want to be amazing at this, you've got to get quantity. People always ask me, Michael, what's more important, quantity or quality? It's quantity. You will never get to great quality until you get great at doing lots of quantity. The more at-bats you get, the better you get at this. So the secret is, how do you get, and I know Austin's, he's giving you baby steps, okay? And that's great. I love it. Those are great baby steps. And that's a great start for most people. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm the hardcore guy, okay? I'm the guy that's going to tell you, screw that one appointment a day crap. You need to go on 4 appointments a day. How are you going to go on 4 appointments a day? First of all, you can set 2 appointments a day yourself easily in 4 hours. Okay. If you're making 4 hours of calls per day, there's no reason why you can't set 2 appointments. Now, if you're on home exit and you're doing that, then I guarantee you they're gonna see that you're doing that activity. They're gonna set 2 more appointments a day for you. They'll match the number of appointments you're setting. I guarantee it. True or false, Austin? 100%.
True.
There you go. So now you're going on 4 appointments a day. Do the math. If you're going on 4 appointments a day, 5 days a week, that's 20 appointments a week. How good do you think you're going to be by Friday? How good do you think you're going to be next month and the month after that and the month after that? And your close rate, right now, you might be closing 25% of the appointments you go on. You start doing 20 appointments a week, let me tell you something, brothers and sisters, you're going to be closing a lot better than 25%. You should be well over 50% once you start doing that number of appointments. It's a very big deal. All right. So, and thank you for that, Camille. So that being said, guys, let Austin help you. And by the way, then you get into, so watch this. Austin will help you get there. And then what we'll do at Club Wealth is we'll help you get better at it. And here's the other thing. We'll teach you how to build a team within the team. Now you can start growing your organization within Home Exit. And here's what will happen now. Now you've got your team, but you don't have to worry about the money part of it, because that's a big deal for a lot of people, right? What if I build this team and then I have a bad month and we lose money? Well, guess what? You don't need to worry about that, because it isn't you losing money. It'll be Home Exit losing money, right?
And on that note too, not to get too sidetracked, I looked at it when you and I sat back down in May in terms of changing the organization model that we had built. 80% of teams are not profitable if you take out the team leader's production.
That's
so
right.
what in the world are we doing building teams? I mean, let's call it like it is. It's pointless at that point, right? However, what was that tipping point? It's about 25 agents. How many 25 agent teams are out there? 1% maybe at best.
That's right.
So what can we do to help someone who desires to build a team to give back the opportunity to do that and they still be profitable day one on that people within their organization? Now, again, I mean, shameless plug, we are brokerage agnostic to what you had mentioned earlier. I don't care what brokerage you're at. We're at like 10 different brokerages right now. And number 2, now you can grow nationally. Now your team's not just Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's Washington, California, Alabama, Mississippi, you name it. So anyways, continue.
Yeah. Well, no, that's exactly right. And so now you literally get to just feed right into a team that's already national, that already is profitable, that already, it already has enough agents to where, and by the way, you don't have any expense anyway. They take care of all the expenses, right? It's all being taken care of by Home Exit. Guys, it is such an insane opportunity that I'll tell you right now, mark my words, 100% guarantee you, there will be a massive amount by the end of next year. There will be a massive amount of teams copying exactly what Austin has done with Homexa. They will be doing everything they can to copy exactly what he's doing with Homexa. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be very, very transparent with you. There will come a time where we will only, at Club Wealth, okay, there will come a time where Michael Hellickson and Club Wealth will only be teaching people that are either already with Club Wealth or are with Homexa. And we will stop. There will come a time where we will stop bringing new team leaders into Club Wealth, because here's the reality. Why teach everybody else how to do what he's doing when that's the holy grail and he's crushing it at a level that nobody else has ever done it before? And so now we're teaching our current coaching clients how to do a lot of this stuff. But the reality is it's not enough to want to do it or even to know how to do it. You got to have the bandwidth to do it, right? So if you're going to go start something like a home exit, that takes a lot of bandwidth in Gesundheit, Austin. So anyway, that being said, I think we've answered all of the questions. Do we have any other questions before we wrap up for today, guys? Okay, because I got to get ready for my next call. And Austin, I know you got another call coming up. Guys, I'm excited for all of y'all. Appreciate you being on. I hope you learned a lot about that listing checklist. And I'll tell you this. You need to have systems for everything. Everything you do, whether it's your best friend or some brand new client off the street, everything you do in your business that you're going to do more than once, you should have a checklist for it and a system for it, and it should be the same every single time. You need to provide the same exact world-class customer experience for every single client. And the last thing you want to have is you don't want to have one client say, well, you did my buddy's house over here, and you did this, this, and this for him, but you didn't do that for me, right? You don't want that to ever happen. It needs to be the same experience for everybody every time. It just needs to be world-class every time, but exactly the same. So that's where those checklists come in handy. So I will chat with you all later. Austin, anything to add before we wrap up?
What one man can do, another can do, right? Every single one of you guys have the opportunity to be successful. That said, we each have to implement. So that's all I want to make sure I ended with.
100% agree. Appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys being on. We value your time, and it's an honor for you guys to take your time and be with us. It's an honor for us that you took time out of your day to be with us today. So have an awesome day, and hopefully we'll see you in coaching or at Homexa or whatever. And guys, take care. Have an awesome day. We'll see you. Club Wealth is the only coaching company on the planet that will literally guarantee that you will double your income or make at least an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. Click the link below, sign up for the appropriate tier level, and let's get you a strategy session today. And I promise you, I 100% guarantee you, promise you that you will walk away with a heart full of gratitude for the time that we took for you, because you got so much value out of that call. Schedule your strategy session today. I promise you'll be glad you did.